Took rain showers on Wednesday, Thursday, and then again on Friday night, we took some more rain showers heading into yesterday's racing action. The ground is saturated. It has again developed another different race face, so riders are a little bit on the iffy part of whether or not they've got the right setups. And talking with a lot of folks coming off the racetrack today, there is a lot of to look into today. Rocks, mud, roots, and of course a totally different course than they've ever faced here at the Limestone because of the saturation of the soils. But all in all, conditions are good. The ground is solid, it is tacky, and today's racing should develop into some of the best racing we've seen so far here in 2016. The stage is set, friends, and we are only merely moments away from making that happen. And of course, as we get set to roll into today's starts, I want to remind folks we got a couple of great hole shot awards we're going to be divvying out to our friends. We've got our All Balls and Wiseco Hole Shot Awards, which will be paying out a $250 hole shot for the XC1 Pro class and a $100 hole shot award for our friends in the XC2 Pro Lights class. That's just a little extra incentive for those guys to get in front. But as we know, it's a 3-hour grueling battle that these riders are about to embark upon, and the end of this one again is going to be nothing but excitement. As again, we hear a hush over the GNCC starting line here, and as you know, tuning in to RacerTV.com, we are running a little bit behind, and that of course is to ensure that the track is clear of all the morning racers that we had. Over 300, pushing nearly 400 riders this morning in these conditions, and it looks like for the most part we are ready to go. We're making those all systems goes. We want to make sure that every point in our process is all systems go, and as soon as we get the thumbs up from everyone, we will be set to wave the green flag here in Indiana for the first of 2 times. And again, just want to remind folks that as you're watching along at home today, we've got a couple of great things going on, including our Twitter and Instagram contest. For Twitter, of course, you'll want to tweet your podium predictions and hashtag them GNCC Live for a chance to win $250 in AMSOIL products. And not only that, you can also Instagram photos of how you watch GNCC Live, and you can hashtag it GNCC Live. We'll group those together on Instagram. We'll give away an event t-shirt to some lucky viewer later today. It's all done randomly, but it's all for a lot of fun, and we hope you folks play along. Standing here with me right now, the man at KTM. He's also the man with a plan as far as the 2016 ISDE efforts for the USA is concerned. And we're talking about Antti Kallinen. Antti, we announced the team just a couple of weeks ago, and it's a little different look to the team because they changed things up this year, but we again get set to roll into another ISDE, probably as strong as we ever have.
Yeah, I think so, Rodney. It's going to be a great year, I believe. Yeah, they reduced the trophy riders from 6 to 4, and it makes a little bit tougher competition on top. Now there's going to be with riders that maybe in the past didn't have quite good 6-rider teams. So I'll expecting a little bit tougher competition, but we have a very good team this year. So I'm not really putting our expectations any lower than what they've been, so we're shooting for the first ever win.
Oh, man, I like it when you say that, and it gives me goosebumps to hear you say that, because that's said with a lot of confidence and for good reason. And obviously, as we get set to go on to, we're getting the groundwork laid right now. One of those things is getting the funding to get these guys over there, get all their bikes there, get all the team members and everybody over there at one time. And we've got something special coming up for the folks at Snowshoe.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great year again doing the annual golf tournament. All the proceeds go to the trophy World, Trophy Junior, and also partially to the women riders to get them there. And last year we almost covered everything for trophy and juniors. So I'm hoping that with the annual golf tournament that more people will play and come on board, we can hopefully fund the entire trophy and junior, and then we're going to start working on the women in 2017 to get them also all covered. So big plans and big goals for sure, but that's one of the things that for preparation, it's good that the riders don't need to worry about the funding. That's the last thing I want them to worry about. So we're trying to do everything we can to get them there, and obviously on the top level riders, they have manufacturer backing. the Yamaha riders and KTM and Husky and so forth. So, and Honda also, JCR is sending their XC2 rider there. So it's going to be a good one.
It is going to be a good one. One thing we want to remind folks, if you want to come, you want to play golf, they're going to be 4-man teams, but if you don't have a team or you don't have enough for a team, individuals can come play and they'll be placed, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't turn anyone down. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Sounds good. I'm going to try to make it down here this year, Auntie.
Thank you, Rodney.
All right, that's Auntie Collin and our USA ISDE team manager there, and we've got a good one put together. Again, those team members include Caleb Russell, Ryan Sipes, Thad Duvall, and Taylor Roberts. And 3 of those GNCC. Taylor Roberts, one of the guys from out west that is just taking the off-road world by storm. A solid team, there's no doubt about it, for our world team. And right now we are less than 2 minutes away from going GNCC racing. As you may note and hear in the background, the actual machine starting to rev up and warm up as they have been given the all systems go sign from Ricky Towery, who has informed them that we are, well, 2 minutes away. And now, as we turn our attention down to turn number 1, Ricky Towery begins the starting sequence now as he lets these riders on this starting line know that we are just 1 minute away from going GNCC racing here in Indiana. And folks, let me tell you, the stage is set for a barn burner. Everyone's sitting around here waiting the extra half hour or so. The nerves get tense, the butterflies are rolling, and I tell you, folks, there's a lot of anticipation, a lot of adrenaline flowing right now, and it's about to peak here in just a couple of moments as we're about to get this baby underway. The blue flag is out. The all engines shut down. Shut them down, guys. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. We are less than 30 seconds away from going GNCC racing, and I got to ask you, Indiana race fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? That's pretty good, man. I got to tell you, GNCC fans here are pretty good. They're pretty loud, but I really think, I know, this is IXCR country. Am I not right? Exactly. So I want to know one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at the Limestone 100 GNCC. $250 up for grabs now as we round the first turn. That looks like a Yamaha and Pro Yamaha in fatback. Daniel Milner grabbing the $250, but it is Chris Bach, Indiana zone, grabbing the lead out of turn 2 and leading them into the woods now. Coming up next, our XC2 Pro Lights. $100 hole shot up for grabs for these guys, courtesy again of All Balls and Wiseco. XC2 Pro Lights, Trevor Bollinger, Craig DeLong, Jesse Grove, Sam Evans, Zach Hayes, Nathan Thornhill, Joshua Lee, Austin Lee, Josh Topp, Mike Witkowski, Vance Francis, Mark Koretsko, Lane Michael, Tegan Techable, Nick Davis, Michael McGinnis, Benjamin Kelly, Mason Atherton, and Trevor Barrett. 10 seconds. And they are off. The XC2 Pro Lights rounding the first turn. Well, man, they're all over the place, but it's the 11 of Craig DeLong out of Morgantown, Pennsylvania, on a Coastal Racing Rockstar Husqvarna. Getting the extra $100 there as we turn our attention down to the Open A class now. Row 3, Dylan Rash, Vincent Smith, Brady Myers, Dual Murphy, Levi Keller, Sam Mattingly, Zach Tussle, Tyler Bohr, Michael Pillard, Tyler Siriano, Brandon Ladd, Justin Leonard, Zeb Grana, Chad Bedford, Zach Dodson, Alex Witkowski, Cody Jeffers, Paul Petrin, Connor Smith, and Dustin Stanley. Ready to roll in 10 seconds. .49, a Dual Murphy into that first turn first. Little right behind him. Let's see if he can hang on to it. Murphy will hang on to it. One of Indiana's own. The 200A bikes. We got Jace Knopp, Jesse Ansley, Zach Hugel, Chase Hayes, and Braden Moore. All ready to roll next as we turn our attention down to Ricky Towery. He sets our next row and lets them know. 10 seconds. And the 200A are off and rolling. 3:17. Chase Kopp. Good jump off the line. First in the first turn. First down the first turn. And first across the whole shot stripe. And looks like he's going to lead him into the woods. 250A class, a big one today. Christopher Vendetti, Eric Douglas, also Andrew Bogg, Sean Benhart, Brewer Carley, Evan Earl, Cameron Sisk, Gregory Coffey, Cody Barnes, Ryan Slopko, Michael Miller, Nathan Nawaki, Alex Teagarden, Cole Harbstreet, Sam Shaver, Will Mason, Matt Forsyth, Jamie Wilson. 10 seconds. Chaz Herzog, also Clint Watson, Zachary Newman, JoJo Bowden, Coleman Brinson, Josh Farrell, Connor Karkowski, Zach Nolan, Chris Goodman, and Jake Froman. 28 riders and Cody Barnes. Note Sean Benhart. Sean Benhart out of Smithville, Virginia, on a Bel-Ray JRP Racing HBD graphics machine. Will grab the early lead 250A class. We got 4-stroke A lights. Braxton McGee, Hunter Shelton, Drew Bolton, Colin Keegan, Connor Keegan, Christopher McManus, Russell Smith, Spencer Berkey, also Dustin Simpson, Corbin Fransky, Larry Sylvia, Cope Becker, Caleb Williams, Eric Souders, Tristan Landrum, Andrew France in 10 seconds. Around the first turn. Oh, it's, man, a lot of changes going on there. Wow. It's the 100 of Colin Keegan out of Cole Center, Pennsylvania. One of the Rocky Mountain Moose Maxis and M's Oil-backed riders. The KR4 program there, of course, as we move to the Senior A40-plus class. Shotgun, Sean Remington, Frank Tussle, Patrick Tobin, Billy Schlag, Rob Brown, and Bob Bergman ready to roll in 10 seconds. Rob Brown from Drury, Massachusetts. A pro man, moto pro, if you will. You might have read about him, heard about him. He's out there with us in this one. The 418, though, Billy Schlag in a Mechanicsville, Maryland, on a Trail Pros Ride On Moto Fly racing ride, grabbing the early lead. That A 30-plus class. Got Joe Marsh, Jesse Arsenal, Big Jim Steiner, Eddie Lojak, Brett Tachilla. 10 seconds. Chris Levin, Ryan Emmon, Joe Dean, Paul Jones, and Nick Capasso. Kick starts down on this one. Riders heading into that first turn. Looks like the 81 of Eddie Lojak Jr. out of Tarentum, Pennsylvania. Ooh, maybe not. Joe Marsh right be there with him. By the way, Eddie Lojak Jr., son of Eddie Lojak Sr., a 9-time GNCC motorcycle champion. One of the toughest men I think we've ever seen on the trail out there. As we go to the Junior A B 25-plus class. 10 seconds. Ian Smith, Justin Denis, Mason Stevens, Kevin Simmons, Joseph McCarty, Brandon Peterson, Lucas Towery, Lane Hosler, and Aaron Studer. Joseph McCarty from Mount Clair, West Virginia. Good jump off the line for him. Let's see if the 426 can hold on to it. And he will. He's brought to us by MCI Racing, RG Honda, Outlaw, FCR Suspension, all proud to bring that 426 to the GNCCs this weekend. As we go next to the 250B class, got James Harshberger, Matthew Donahue, Edward White, Timothy Steiner, also Matthew Davis, Will Bussick, Lane Grubb, Tommy LaRoche, also William LaRochelle, and 10 seconds. Eli Cradleball. Also got Jacob Gibbons, Michael Adam, Devin Capasso, Noah Stevens, Cody Aliff, Michael O'Brien, Nick O'Brien, Billy Seglia. Matthew Davis out of Bertrandville, Pennsylvania. Ride Free Martin Moto. Joseph W. Davis sponsored ride, getting off to a great start there, and he's going to lead him into turn 2 and out of turn 2, and looks like we'll try to take him to the woods. And I believe that moves us next to 200B bike. Jordan Overhill, Teague Securo, Mike Delisle, Cash Jacobs, Johnny Manera, Chris Chrisman, Adam Parker, Nathan Pinkerton. 10 seconds. Jared Polly, Sam Hall, Nathan Davis, Chase Colville, and Hank Hayes. Nathan Davis out of Vail, North Carolina. Down start stretch. Let's see, though. It's 3:57. Johnny Manera from Millville, New Jersey on the Nahilo Factory Connection Pro Taperback machine, grabbing the early lead. Bet B class rolling next. We've got Larry Hopper, Scott Dowland, Sean Morris, Kevin Young, Stephen Young, Josh Fetcher, Adam Miller, Mike Barber, and Matthew Yukovic. 10 seconds. And our Bet B 30+ are off. 4, 4, 5. That's Matthew Yukovic from Washington, Pennsylvania. Look at him sweeping that turn and a little out of shape, but he makes it. And look at the lead. He's already amassing out of turn 2 now. Bet B 30+. Now to the open B. We got Josh Atkins, Devin Newkirk, Cody Sims, Grant Lehman, Jacob Oliver, Matt Blesh, Corey Jordan, Dominic Jarvis, Josh Smith, Nicholas Neiman, also Garrett Tomko, Ryan McMahon, Clint Wagner, Joseph McCurr, also Joseph Patton. 10 seconds. Michael Hall, Brian Shaw, Craig Daft, Zach Perry, and Austin Smith. See if we can get that leader there. That looks like a brand spanking new KTM. 8-12, Zach Perry from Myersdale, Pennsylvania. And Senior B, 40+ class. Devin Ferguson, Leon Whitaker, Mike Kochman, Jeffrey Flynn, Daniel Grubb, Tim Healy, Jose Simas, Christian Broombaugh, Jason Hall, Darren Darmos, David Galliano. 10 seconds. And they're off. We got a couple of beta riders out front here. I'm going to have to assume that's Christian Broombaugh and David Galliano, the lead, the 975 of David Galliano from Weston, West Virginia. Four-stroke B lights class coming up next. Colton Cup, Justin Murphy, Trevor Bowerbank, Hunter Williams, Bolton B. Roth, Troy Lieberman, also Britton Laird, Brendan Poling, Nathan Rector, Langdon Feltner. 10 seconds. Chase Terry, Jason Lipscomb, Austin Evans, Carter Johnson, Tyler Bosley, and Colton Hale. Hunter Williams out of Sophia, North Carolina. Rocky Mountain ATVMC KR4 Performance FTI suspension back right. Good jump, but it's the 229 of Williams. Not only jumping, but stretching that out of turn 1 to turn 2, now out of turn 3, and leading them into the woods here in Indiana. And that's going to wrap up our start here as, of course, we got things rolling here at the Limestone 100. And of course, Johnny Gallagher and Matt Watson will be picking things up here in just a couple of moments when RacerTV.com's GNCC Live continues after this.
Maxxis Tires.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATVMC, our goal has always been to get you the best price and provide quality service. Now, we're giving you one more reason to shop with Rocky Mountain. We call it Quick Cash. It's simple to get. Just place an order with a qualifying Quick Cash item and get cash to spend on your next order. Try it out today. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
The Andersons discovered life is easier with an Outlaw RV. The Outlaw is a complete home on wheels with a multifunctional garage. Getting on the road has never been quicker. The Outlaw is made to fit the lifestyle of today's active families. So stop roughing it and start enjoying your weekends. Find the Thor Motor Coach Outlaw that fits your needs at GarageRVs.com today.
I'm a sore loser. I'm a sore loser.
Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best?
The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why
I only use
Cometic products in my engines. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
And here we are back to RacerTV Live. GNCC Live on RacerTV. We see we're out in the field here, and
oh no!
Oh wow! Look at that. They made
Holy
some
cow.
contact there, and looks like Lane Michael and I believe that is Jesse Grom got together, and wow, they went down hard. Lane looked like he kind of kicked the rear end out a little bit, and then somehow Grom ended up getting collected in as well. Both those guys.
Grom's front tire touched Lane's rear tire. Holy
that
cow,
is what
then
happened.
let me tell you, both guys went over the high side
Yeah.
on that downhill, and that was
Yeah,
bad.
well, you know, it looked like they were both okay and able
Yeah.
to walk away, though, and that's what's obviously important. And, you know, now they're out and racing, and, man, that's a high-speed section. And we see here, this is right out amongst the amateur pits, and had a little bit of excitement myself in this section yesterday. Had a rider stop in the middle of the trail and decided he was going to get some fuel. And myself and Landon Wolf and Josh. Oh, we see another rider get the swaps there. That's one heck of a section there. We're seeing some excitement. And I got to tell you, oh, and there we see another
Holy
rider.
cow.
And that is actually Jesse Ansley
Yeah.
as he gets kicked there. So, folks, this is probably the easiest section of this Limestone GNCC course. And I got to tell you, right now, it's not proven to look that easy.
Johnny, that leads me into the next thing I was going to say. The dirt here is so deceiving. Each and every week you and I talk about conditions and soil and that kind of stuff. What's happening now is this soft stuff is starting to harden up a good bit out there. As you can see, it is whooped out a good bit, but the television isn't showing how deep those braking bumps are, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the braking bumps, the ditches, what happened is we had a lot of rain this week here at the Limestone 100 in Springville, Indiana. You know, the ground got saturated throughout the week, and it was starting to look like on Friday things were going to shape up pretty decent. It was starting to tack up and dry up. And then, as I'm sure was mentioned in yesterday's broadcast for ATV Day, we got an absolute deluge on Saturday morning about 3 a.m. And it really turned this place into a survival run. You know, kind of looks deceiving out here in the open. This is obviously the sun's been shining. You know, the wind's been blowing. We're actually seeing a little bit of dust kicking up. But you go down just barely into these woods, and what you have is ruts, 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 more ruts, and more ruts.
No question about it. Johnny, I don't think anybody sitting at home that watched yesterday's race or actually didn't watch yesterday's race can look at their monitor right now, can look at their screen, and actually envision how it looked yesterday. In 24 hours, we're up almost 30 degrees, and we've taken about 90% of the moisture out of the ground that was in there yesterday.
Yeah, here we see Tristan Landrum on screen. This is one of our four-stroke A lights riders, I believe, and he's charging his way up through the pack. Just made a pass there on screen. And Ohio boy, you know, he surely knows how to ride the mud. And although, like I said, this section is actually starting to get a little bit dusty, Megawatt, I can assure you here in about another 5 seconds when he disappears out of our screen, he's going down into the dirty, dirty woods of Springville, Indiana. As we saw earlier here at the start, it was Chris Bach leading the way early, and now it looks like we've had a change up. Chris Bach in second, and that looks to be Thad Duvall who makes the pass on Bach there. So that was at the 3-mile marker, just a little bit. Here we see, and now this is the 4-mile marker. Chris Bach back in the lead. So these guys are, and then it's Josh Strang in the second place spot and Caleb Russell in third. So we've got some shakeups here already, Megawatt. We've got these guys swapping positions hot and heavy already within the first 4 miles of action.
Johnny, are you kidding me? 5 guys have traded 6 positions in about 3 miles. But I want to ask you something. Is the hometown man pumped up right now? Your buddy Chris Bach, man, I want to tell you, does that give him extra motivation? Oh, you always love racing in front of the home crowd. But do you think that's giving him some boost right now on this opening lap?
You know, Chris Bach is never a fast starter. It's kind of rare to see him up this far, and usually rare to see him up even in the top 5 on the first lap. So when we were sitting on the starting line there, I pedaled up and told him, I said, hey, if you could just go ahead and hole shot the XC2 row, that'd be great, because he's not exactly known for his good starts, but nearly grabbed that hole shot award and then ended up coming away in the second turn with the lead. And then it was, now we're back to the 3-mile marker, and you can see these hills are slick. these roots, there's rocks, there's ruts, and all of it mixed with water just makes for quite a slick combination. Looks like one of our B-class riders there, number 617. He's actually his helmet number looks to be 144. He's having a heck of a go here on this. You see the mud fleas though, they jump in and they're pulling him right up there, Megawatt.
I believe that may have been Joe McCarthy. I saw the MCI graphics on there. Joe, a state police in West Virginia, sponsored by Mark Myers and all the MCI guys there, makes it out to every round, but looked like I had a little miscalculation on that line right there, Johnny, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and that's actually deceiving. There is a big rock ledge, or two big rock ledges on that hill actually. You've got you can see these guys kind of going to the left to get around it, but I'm sure when we see our pros come through, they're going to carry speed and probably hop right up over those rock ledges. But that's incredibly slick coming up that grade there as you get to the bottom of that uphill.
Johnny, this morning I asked all of our youth riders, of course our WXC riders stuff, on a scale of 1 to 10, or yesterday, how tough was that track, you know, and every one of them told me it was a 9. It was a 10. You know, you've been around, you've seen everything from snowshoe to Florida to, you've seen all conditions, Johnny. Truly honest evaluation as a pro. How bad was the track yesterday?
You know, I'll be honest with you. I didn't feel like the track was that bad yesterday. Now, today, I'll be the first person to admit, I don't know if I could make it around this track on a dirt bike. For us, the ruts were deep, no question about it. But I think the big thing I noticed this morning, I spent the entire morning race out in the woods. The lines themselves just got incredibly deep because of the fact that the ground was so soft, where an ATV, although it's heavier, you can only dig so deep because you hit the belly pan, you hit the skid plate. What's happening with the dirt bikes is they're going foot peg deep and then some in some of these ruts in the soft spots. And when you mix that in with, you know, all the lapped riders and you have the, you know, the different speeds, which obviously we had some lapped riders and some stuck, but it's a little bit easier to spot a stuck ATV. You know, it's a bigger target there in the woods. And I noticed a lot of riders that just weren't seeing the riders stuck in front of them, and they'd pile right in behind them this morning during that morning race. So bottlenecks everywhere in the morning. We'll have to see if it shapes up the same here in the afternoon. But you know, you can see these guys, even what seemed like somewhat mundane obstacles on a day like today, where that thick mud just packs in your tires and basically makes you lose all your traction. That it really gets tough to negotiate this limestone course.
I tell you what, the first point you brought up, the bikes definitely dig a much deeper rut, and I thought sure you were going to mention the root. There's some exposed root. That my nemesis, the shiny yellow root, hanging out there today, just looked deceivingly wicked to me.
Well, and that's absolutely true. I mean, you can see right there, we've got some roots in that rut right there in front of us. There's some more roots, and you know, this is one of the drier sections of the course right here, obviously because it's on a steep climb. But down in the bottoms, what happens is they dig those ruts so deep, they get down to the roots, and then, oh, here we see one of the guys who's been a victim. Most likely, as you can see, he's facing backwards. I'd be willing to venture a guess that he probably caught one of those roots, and at the 3-mile marker, he's headed in the wrong direction. But yeah, those roots, once they get exposed, not only are they slick, they get, when the dirt gets dug out around them, a lot of times they'll act as almost a barrier or a hurdle that if you're losing your momentum, that root can be the last thing that stops you and brings you to a complete stop. So we'll see a lot of dog paddling today. You know, dog paddling is what we refer to when you see the guys with both feet off the pegs, and they're kind of just dragging their feet and actually helping to assist their motorcycle get over the obstacles, whether it be roots or, you know, just the mud or what. Oh, look at that. Oh, he shoots his bike up the hill. That's shades of the old Blackwater 100 there. If you can't quite get it out, just go ahead and launch it up the rest of the way.
You know, you mentioned the dog paddle. That's the first thing I asked Phil Smith on our 10 o'clock podium. I said, Phil, see a lot of dog paddling out there from some of the class? He said a little bit, but you know the other term, when you get out in the fields and it's extremely slick and gets a little deep, you see the outriggers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of outriggers out there this morning. I saw that, and we even saw that yesterday, you know, with our micro race. So I was catching a little bit of that before we left. And, you know, those poor little guys, they tried to give them as abbreviated and as passable as a course as possible. But what happens is the slower you go, this mud it's a very sticky mud here in Springville for the Limestone 100, and it clogs up between those knobbies. And if you're not going fast enough for it to sling out of there, which in some cases is a lot harder than it looks. You know, you're watching some of these guys and thinking, well, why don't they just go faster? Well, there's no traction. And that's even made worse by the fact that their tires all clogged up. So it becomes a, you know, chicken or the egg kind of a thing. You can't go because your tire's clogged up, and you can't unclog your tire because you can't go. So it's you know, you see a lot of these guys will just kind of lean back and grab a handful of throttle and try and clean that tire out. Here we see our number 77 rider. He decided that was a good place to stop and have a little rest there on the hillside.
Nice and shady, nice and
shady
cool
spot.
in there.
The sun is
Absolutely.
getting pretty warm here in Springville, Indiana, so we've got a place to cool down next to that Moose Racing Manor.
To expand on what you were saying, Taylor Jones told me, she said, I asked her about crashing. She said, well, I crashed because I was going too slow, and then I crashed because I was going too fast. So
yeah, I think the other thing that was said a couple times this morning on the WXC podium, yes, the girls, if they crashed any, and I believe Taylor Jones' answer was, I only crashed 3 times each mile.
Each mile. Yeah, no doubt about it. Johnny, you got to excuse me. I'm losing my voice. I got so excited yesterday during that quad race. You guys, man, an amazing race. 4 guys finishing about 8 seconds apart yesterday. You fought your way through the pack. You had a brutal day yesterday, and as I know, you've been all over this course today, pulling amateurs out, helping the WXC ladies, and just an amazing weekend here that we're experiencing. But take a look at the names we've got up front right now, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've got, and here we come, the 7-mile marker, and interestingly enough, we had some riders come through in front of Caleb Russell that were not XC1 Pro riders. So I'm assuming that we've had a little bit of an issue with some riders getting off course. We did see Jeff Russell was kind of making motions that he wasn't sure where those guys had come from, but nonetheless, the number 1 FMF KTM out front. There is the number 5 KR4 Husqvarna in second. That is Josh Strang, the number 114 in third, and we're told Jordan. There we see Strang has now made the pass on Ashburn, and then Chris Bach rounding out the top 5 on that JCR Honda. In the 6th place spot, that is Stu Baylor on the SRT KTM, and Stu's a great mud rider, so I think we'll see some really good things out of him. He's really known for picking good lines and keeping himself out of the holes, and it looks like right now, so that would be your top 6 riders, I believe. They have really stretched it out over the 7th place rod, so we'll have to wait and see just who that is as they work their way through here in a few moments. But those guys are all within sight of each other, and look at this gap they've opened up, Megawatt.
Johnny, I can already see how this one's going to go right now. In about 150 yards, we saw 3 position changes. Not necessarily lead changes, but 3 passes made through that section right there.
Look at this. This rider just missing the course completely.
Wow.
We don't even know who that is, and he has gone the wrong way. Now we see Caleb Russell down through VP Fuels. Oh, my God, Caleb Russell gets head shake, nearly going down. You could tell by the look on his face that he was panicked there, but he manages to save it. So now it looks like Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall have pulled out just a little bit. Josh Strang there in third. The 4th place ride of Jordan Ashburn. We know he likes the mud. And there we have Chris Bach there in the 5th place ride. So after getting a great start and getting out front there early, Chris Bach back to his usual position at the end of the 1st lap there in 5th, but right where he wants to be to try and keep in touch with these guys. And now we see Caleb Russell working his way through the finish line just after VP Fuels Pro Row. And you got to believe Caleb Russell is probably thinking to himself, man, I just dodged a bullet there.
What he's probably thinking is, I don't just need to change my goggles.
Yeah.
It's probably what he's thinking.
He needs to change a little more in his
Johnny,
goggles for sure.
That one was truly lock to lock, as we call it. I've never seen such a swap pulled out of before.
He was really just along for the ride on that one there, Megawatt. But, showing true skill and determination, he didn't bail. He hung on to it and hung on to the lead.
Oh, yeah, he didn't lift when that happened by no means.
That's what you have to do
in
that situation. You got to just twist the throttle to the stops. And here we see some more of our 250B riders working their way through. These guys are not going to be counting that lap. They've gotten off course somewhere, so unfortunate for them. Now we do see, looks to be Lane Michael. It looks like he's back going. Looks like he has gotten around what appears to be one of the SRT KTM riders. Now we see our 6th place rider of Stu Baylor checking in. Looks like he's lost just a little bit of ground on Chris Bach there in that 5th place spot. So that is now your top 6 checked in at the completion of lap number 2. And it is Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, Josh Strang, Jordan Ashburn, Chris Bach, and Stu Baylor Jr. That is, and here we see some of our XC2 riders now working their way down VP Fuels Pro Row. So we should see those guys checking in here in just a moment.
Johnny, be curious to see some true lap times here with a full lap. I like to compare it a little bit to some of our morning classes, a little bit different track. But I tell you, seemed like today, throughout the course of the day, running 29 minutes plus.
That was an XC2 rider just checking in, and that is Josh Toth, who was the leader at the end of lap number 1, and now again the leader at the end of lap number 2. So we thought maybe he had just gotten a good start there and was up there, but he's leading the way here after 2 laps completed, and we still have not seen our 2nd place rider in XC2. So Josh Toth a relative unknown to us here, has now worked his way into the 7th place overall position. He's the number 206 machine on that KTM out of Winstead, Connecticut. So he's come all the way from Connecticut. Now I believe we have our 2nd place rider in XC2, and that looks to be Trevor Bollinger, and there he is checking in, 2 laps complete. Trevor Bollinger about 37 seconds behind the leader, and there looks to be Jesse Grom. That was the rider who went down earlier in the shot battling with Lane Michael. Lane Michael is in. It looks like they're spraying out his radiator, got some clean goggles, and now he's on his way. Looks like he may possibly still have stayed within the top 5. We've had now, the 4th place rider has checked in XC2, and I'm sorry, 5th place. So Trevor Bollinger in 2nd, Craig DeLong in 3rd. We did miss him there. Jesse Grom in 4th place, Austin Lee in 5th, Benjamin Kelly in 6th. Then it was Daniel Milner checking in, 13th overall, and I believe that would make him 7th in the XC1 Pro class. Shout out to Scott Grills, 8th place in the XC1 Pro class out of Wellington, Ohio, followed by Ricky Russell in the 9th place spot out of Duvall, Washington. Ricky Russell has been getting some good starts, but today was not one of those days.
I can tell you this much, it wasn't the most ideal start for Ricky Russell, but putting in the work early here, trying to make something happen, knowing that time's going to be critical. I can see right now that lead pack of 6 guys up there starting to pull away, starting to put some distance. That's going to be an extremely fast pace in extremely rough conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we're updating the XC2 Pro Lights class here, again, Josh Toth out front, the number 206 KTM out of Winstead, Kentucky, leading the way with a 37-second lead over Trevor Bollinger. Another 1 second behind Bollinger is Craig DeLong, so he was right on his rear wheel there, followed by Jesse Grom. So Grom able to work his way all the way up to the 4th place spot after that gnarly crash we saw there at the 4-mile marker on lap number 1. Lane Michael working his way back to the 7th place spot after, again, being involved in that same wreck.
That tells me how tough those guys are, because that was 3rd gear on the gas, high side for both of them, and my goodness, to be back up in the mix already. Saw Lane pull out of the pits wide open, full speed, so that tells me he's good to go.
Yep, absolutely. These guys are they're doing what they can to get back up front. Those were the top 2 front runners in our XC2 Pro Lights class just 2 weeks ago in Society Hill, South Carolina, there at our Camp Coker GNCC with Jesse Grom experiencing some last lap issues and Lane Michael taking the win, but those 2 were back and forth and battling all day long. Jesse Grom leading the majority of that one. Unfortunately, his machine was unable to make it to the finish line, and therefore Lane Michael did, in fact, take the win, and I believe that was his first XC2 Pro Lights win of his career. And, Lane Michael on a bit of a high note here lately with winning that Sprint Enduro just a few weeks ago and then coming back, winning the GNCC and our last GNCC at Camp Coker, and was up front here early and then unfortunately experienced that crash. So he's now charging his way back up. There we see what looks to be Nick Davis now working his way through. He's another rider that was on the podium there, and that is, it looks like we've had quite a few more XC2 riders check in here. As we scroll through, looking at our overall, it looks to be, as we look and try and check in with our top amateur here, it looks like down in 22nd place overall, it's Levi Keller out of Chillicothe, Ohio, and that's a interesting story there as well, because Levi Keller has been on fire the last couple weekends, actually beating several XC1 Pro riders and XC2 Pro Lights guys last weekend at, I believe it was a Knockham Stiff Ridge Runners race in Southern Ohio, and then he went over and raced the IXCR race here in Indiana on Sunday. So 2 days in a row, he was your overall winner, and get this, he won the IXCR race by 20 minutes.
What?
And that is 2-0 over,
wow.
I believe it was Austin Lee, Derek Allen, Chris Douglas. There was a lot of XC1 and XC2 Pro riders there. Levi Keller, doing the unimaginable. He's a magician out there, winning by 20 minutes.
You know as well as I do, Johnny, everybody flips the switch on their level, on their speed at a different time. And you know what? For Keller, it very well could have been last week.
And here we see on screen the 3-mile marker, a couple of different lines there. Caleb Russell leading the way, and that was Thad Duvall in second. Now it's Ashburn who's taken over the number 3 spot. So we've lost Josh Strang. There he is, Strang in 4th. And as he works his way up, that he'll climb there at the 3-mile marker. We'll wait and we'll watch. We should next see our number 4 of Chris Bach, and there he is rounding out the top 5, just a few seconds behind Strang. So there you see our top 5. Next, we should be waiting to see the Stu Baylor is our 6th place rider. When we last saw him, he was still in sight of Bach. So it appears Baylor has given up a little bit of ground here now, Megawatt.
Yeah, and it seems like to me these are kind of the conditions that Baylor would excel in. He's a strong guy. He's a tough guy. I've seen him in the rough do really well. So be interesting to see. Maybe was something, have a little bobble there, lost a little time, blow a corner, that type of thing.
Looks to be him coming now. Let's see if this is the SRT KTM, and there it is, Stu Baylor. So he's running a little bit different line. He's taking that outside all the way out and around instead of up over the hill, and it looked to be a little slower. So that could possibly be, Stu's trying to take some safe lines, and that may pay off later in the race, but right now it's cost him some time. Back to our leaders here. Caleb Russell coming through. There is Thad Duvall. As we look back, we see Jordan Ashburn starting to reel in the top 2. So we talk about it so many times. Jordan likes the mud, and he's proven that again here today. Josh Strang in the 4th place spot. Now these guys are working their way out towards that field where we saw that incident earlier with Lane Michael and Jesse Graham. So these guys now are going to be coming out into the faster field section at about the 4-mile marker. We'll have to see if we get a shot of him there. Here comes the number 4 JCR Honda of Chris Bach. You can see he's running some little bit different lines, trying to stay relaxed. Looks like he's possibly got something on his boot there, trying to shake it loose. Now out in the field, there it is. Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, hard on the gas, and these guys are making tracks, trying to pull away. But as our camera pans back here, oh! Thad Duvall is down. He has gone down hard. He is back up. He is not even going to relinquish the 2nd place position. Oh, perhaps he is. Ashburn, Duvall and Ashburn side by side. They're working their way through. Ashburn squares him up, comes around the inside. Duvall hangs on for 2nd. These guys are really throwing down there, so that looked like a pretty gnarly crash, but Thad Duvall was able to hop right back up, get on that machine, and hang on to that 2nd place spot. But you know what that means, Megawatt? Caleb Russell now with a little bit of breathing room out front.
That's a dangerous thing. When that happens, you give Caleb any room. The big thing right there, Lane Michael, Go ahead.
Stu Baylor on screen here. This is our 6th place rider. Looks like we've got quite a few people over here working on this machine. Got to wonder with where they're working there if he has lost his brake pedal possibly. So Chris Bach now out in that same field where we just saw those guys. And, we've seen a lot of action out in this field at the 4-mile marker. You got to believe, Megawatt, that field must be rough for these guys to be having the problems that they are. We've seen Lane Michael on the ground. We've seen Jesse Graham on the ground. We just saw Thad Duvall on the ground. We said it was Jesse Ansley we saw nearly bite the dust. And here we see a replay. Look at this. Caleb Russell around the outside. Thad Duvall charging in, tries to bury it into the berm here. And it looks like what happens is the back end, he hits a hole, and the bike goes sideways. He loses the bars, and luckily for him, he's able to kind of slide it out. You can see he slams the dirt really hard there, though, and he's able to hop right back up. Thad Duvall is one tough cookie.
The key to that crash for Thad Duvall, he kept the bike running.
Absolutely.
That bike was running. Johnny, that bike actually crossed where the front wheel was in one rut, back wheel was in another. Man, no place to go. Kept that bike alive, got back up, and able to maintain the position.
Absolutely. Here we see Stu Baylor. He's got to be frustrated running, having a great run here early, and it looks like they're safety wiring a new tip onto his brake pedal, so he lost that brake pedal. No, I'm sorry, that's not safety wire. It's an Allen wrench, and it's the brake pedal.
Okay.
It's the little angle comes off the brake pedal, the foot piece, and now so he must have lost that, and they're threading one on there and trying to get it tight. Now they've got it on there and tight. Stu Baylor back off and in the running. Looks like he's dropped back quite a bit, but this is our XC2 leader, and here he is, folks, Josh Toth. And this is the rider that we've seen that he is up into, he's disappeared off our screen. Oh, there he is. 6th place overall out of Winstead, Kentucky, the number 206 machine. Now we see it looks like a couple other riders starting to reel him in. There it is. Trevor Bollinger in the 2nd place spot. He can see Josh Toth. Oh, look at this. Trevor Bollinger sideways. He makes that save a little bit quicker, but Craig DeLong there in the 3rd place spot, hot on the heels of Trevor Bollinger. So these guys are, man, they are pushing hard. Now we see some of our other XC2 riders there in the background. And as we pan back here and we're joined by Rodney Tomlin, we've got, looks like Mark Horesco, one of our XC2 Lights or 250A riders. I'm not sure which class it is that he's riding, they're working their way through here at the 3-mile marker. But tons of excitement, Rodney, out at our 4-mile marker there. We've seen so much action already. Now we're seeing some more riders work their way through. This is the local boy out of Bedford, Indiana, Austin Lee. And here comes Stu Baylor, who's gotten that brake pedal fixed. He is back on the charge. He's caught up to the back of Austin Lee, and he's going to say, hey, Austin, we trained together, but let me around, man. I got places to go. I was running top 5 overall just a minute ago, and now I need to charge my way to try and get back even into the top 10 overall.
Well, certainly looks like things are stacked in the favor of the fans here today, Johnny, as far as the track conditions are concerned. Talking with a number of the folks here this morning. Do I have the right headset? I can't even hear me right now. Yep. All right, I'll try this. All right, well, anyway, like I said, it's stacked in the favor of the fans, to be honest with you, because this track is really lending itself to what we've already witnessed, a lot of changes. As you can see, a lot of racing bumps, as Jeff Russell likes to call those, out in those open field sections, and they are creating quite a bit of an obstacle out there, and it surprises, it looks like, for some of our top riders whenever you see those guys, even surprised by the conditions of the soil. And that's just a tradition that we've seen so far here in 2016. Tracks not shaping up like what people expect, but nonetheless, after talking with some of the folks this morning, they said this track was a lot rougher than they expected it, and probably a lot rougher than they've ever experienced here in the past. But again, that goes hand in hand with the moisture and the rain that we've seen over here just over the last week alone.
Well, Rodney, you hit the nail on the head, and I think we can attribute that to the extent of moisture that's in the ground here. You know, we've seen this place traditionally as a racer. When you talk there, we see Tegan Temple on screen, so he's a little further back than what we're used to normally seeing him there, and I believe that is the 945 machine. He was up within the top 5 there of our XC2 Pro Lights class a little bit earlier. Seems he's fallen back just a little bit. So Temple and I'm not sure who that is, the 945 machine in the XC2 Pro Lights class, looks to be Trevor Barrett. Those two are really throwing down and having a battle there. But as we mentioned, the ground incredibly soft here, and it's making really deep ruts, not only the deep ruts, but also making it really rough with lots of braking bump, lots of acceleration bumps, and we've never seen this course. Normally when we look at this section here, you know, in years past, it's hard packed slick, almost gets blue grooved, and today there's just so much moisture in the ground. It's really brought an entirely unforeseen set of circumstances and conditions for these guys to contend with.
Well, that just seems to be tradition with what we've seen so far here in 2016. And Johnny, I think you can echo this, being a rider. Florida didn't shape up like what people expected. Georgia, the new Georgia, wasn't what people expected. Even, I think maybe even round 3 at North Carolina, it developed even differently than what people expected. I mean, each round, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the moisture content, the lack of moisture content. Obviously, maybe the way they're laying out the tracks in a little different fashion, a little different pattern. They're breaking down a little differently. But whatever the case is, it's been a real guessing game, I think, for the teams to try to keep those bikes running in proper order to make them run their best at each event. And that's really, I think, shown a lot of camaraderie and teamwork in the teams and the riders and their sponsors that they're working with out there to make these things work on the fly like that and change things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's in a lot of cases that's where experience comes into play, because you know you can prepare for any situation, but when things aren't what you expect, you've got to be able to adapt, as you said, on the fly, make it work, make it happen. And, you know, that's what these guys are doing out there right now, and they're putting their best foot forward, and they're putting on one heck of a battle right now, Rodney. You know, I just can't believe the lead changes that we've seen. Before you came to the booth here, as we were talking about, we've already seen 4 or 5 different leaders in just the first few miles. But right now, the rider that seems to have taken control is Caleb Russell, followed in the second-place position still by Thad Duvall, even after that on-screen crash that we saw, and then the third-place ride of Jordan Ashburn.
So a few changes from what we saw there at the end of lap 2 as Josh Strang has dropped out of that third-place position. We also got Chris Bach, I believe, still back there in a top 5 position. So it's Russell, Duvall, Ashburn, Strang, and Bach. And GNCC Live continues right after this.
Maxxis Tires. CST Tires.
You smell it, you feel it, you can taste it in the air. Speed, man. Full wide open. Blast. I didn't really like high school too much. Too booky, too take notes, learn this, and that's it. Yeah, WildTech, that full-size motorcycle. The feeling of taking them apart every day, putting them back together. You can't explain it. Everything I learned applies to now. Seeing your motorcycle that you put together right around the track at 180 miles an hour, oh, definitely rewarding. My name's Mike. My school's WildTech.
Get on the fast track to a career. Turn pro at WildTech.
I've been with Liat for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
And we're back here to GNCC Live. We're looking at the 7-mile marker, so we should be waiting to see those guys in just a few moments. And, you know, Rodney, we've already seen some mix-up here with we've seen some 250B riders get off course, and, and they were actually leading our overall. They've corrected that with scoring. Unfortunately, those guys will not be counting that lap. Now we see some of our A classes working their way through here at the 7-mile marker. We've already checked in with our XC1 Pro lights and XC2 Pro lights, or XC1 Pro and XC2 Pro lights classes at the finish line. They've made it through for the completion of our first full lap, which would be lap 2 on live scoring if you're following at home. Now here at the 7-mile marker, these guys are having to negotiate quite an array of conditions out there, Rodney. With the rain that we had, we've already talked about how rough the course is shaping up to be in terms of the moisture in the dirt, but we haven't really talked about too much yet is those holes that are out there. And here we see some riders going backwards on the course, and this is, wow, I don't really know. These guys are really struggling to figure out this section. I don't understand why they're having a hard time. We can clearly see the arrows pointing the way that they need to be going, but you know, maybe these guys are just really fried after. Wow, maybe we need to get a course marshal down there because we've got riders going the wrong way on the course. We certainly can't have that, but you know.
Well, I know I was down there. That's down by the start line, and I was down there for the first lap that they came through. It looked very obvious. I mean, the pros and everybody went through there whenever I was down there. Didn't seem to have any issues or problem with it. So
absolutely.
I don't know what
the course
problem
is well marked there. I don't understand why we've seen so many issues with riders going the wrong way there. So it must be deceiving.
Well, that was a late change. That is down by the starting line, like we saw, and the previous and the original track actually went through a little wood section just below that. They brought it out onto the that section of the course, obviously, so we'd have an opportunity to see them a little bit more. And
now they've got it figured out.
Yeah,
Here's the guys that were going the wrong way. Now they've realized that, oh, nope, that's where we wanted to go. So they're all working their way through here, and we see these guys filing out of the woods one after another. So a little bit of confusion, but it all got squared away. Oh, there we see a rider down. So must be a little bit tricky section there. It must be a route or possibly a little bit wet there. I know that's just below our starting line area. Here we see rider they're stuck in the middle of a corner. So yeah, it's a tougher section than it appears to be. You know, that shadow, there must be a shadow monster in there that's grabbing those tires and saying, no, you're going to live here in Shadowland forever.
The shadow monster. It's the world of Pan right there going on. Sucking you right in. But, yeah, that's interesting. We're going to zoom in, it looks like, and try to see if we can see what the obstacle that they're being faced with there. But I think you're right. It's probably a root, mud, maybe a combination likely of the two. That is a rather moist area of the racetrack down there.
Let's talk about some other classes, Rodney. Pick out a class and talk about them for a couple seconds.
Well, I tell you, Johnny, you know, we watch these classes come through, and it makes you realize that, you know, there are, about 12 or 15 XC1 pros out on the course, and there's some 300 or so riders out there on the racetrack right now. And, you know, we do focus a lot on the XC1 Pro class, but there's a lot of things going on out here besides the XC1 Pro class. And we're talking A-class riders, which are obviously the more expert style riders, I guess you could say, and then the B-class intermediate level riders. And the C-class riders ride in the morning. There's Caleb Russell making his way in out here near the start line, which is near that 7-mile marker, if I'm not mistaken. And, of course, right now we see a much bigger lead amassed than what we saw only a lap ago when I was standing down there, Johnny. So, I mean, though the gap is not monumental, it is still a bit of a gap more than what it was.
We've had a change in our third-place position. It is Josh Strang back into the third place, and Thad Duvall still within sight of our leader, Caleb Russell. Now we see Jordan Ashburn there back into the 4th place spot. So we've seen a little bit of a shakeup there. Just a few moments ago, we saw Thad Duvall in 2nd go down. Jordan Ashburn close up on him. And then it was Josh Strang in the 4th place ride, but those two were battling over 2nd. Now Duvall has stretched it back out. He's into that 2nd place spot and appearing to maybe make up just a little bit of time on Caleb Russell, and Josh Strang hot on his heels. So those two are going to push each other. It appears the rider that's really lost ground this lap is Chris Bach. He was just behind Josh Strang, and now here he is. That's got to be upwards of a minute that he is behind, and we can see that he's got no goggles on. So that indicates to me that he's probably had some struggles out there this lap. Maybe had to pitch those goggles because they were either they got clogged up with mud, or perhaps the situation was he might have gotten overheated. And we might have an update here from Matt Watson on a situation similar to that.
Yeah, Johnny, funny you mentioned that. I was just at the Coastal Racing Rig talking to Rick Michael, Lane's dad. As a matter of fact, right after that wreck, Johnny, Lane fell over again. And as you mentioned, you pointed out when they come into the pits, first thing they did was clean those radiators out. Roger Michael, Lane's uncle, said already packed, had to reach in there with his hands and dig it out and get it cleaned out. Definitely going to be something that's going to come into play. But Lane not bruised up, not in bad shape whatsoever, but back out there charging right now.
Well, you know, one thing that we probably failed to remember watching this race, because conditions look nearly prime and perfect, what exactly we talked about and have mentioned a couple of times is the softness of the ground. It's soft up here on top and where we're looking, but we got to remember, with it being this soft and that much moisture in the ground, all that moisture had to go somewhere. It went to the low-lying areas and the holes, so obviously that's going to create more mud hole opportunities to form out there, and that's probably why we're seeing some of those struggles and riders without goggles and things like that. Even on the front number plate of Caleb Russell as he rolls to the finish line for lap number 2 complete here. Actually, lap number 3. It was a short half mile or so first lap, but lap number 3 complete. He's even got some mud packed up on his machine.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, nobody's going to avoid the mud today. Now we see our 5th place rider, Chris Bach, in. He is getting a new pair of goggles there, so he had some struggles with vision. They go ahead and hit him with a splash of fuel, and he is off on his way in pursuit of those top 4, but he's given up a good bit of time, as we'll see when he checks in at the finish line here. Now that appears to be Daniel Milner, who I believe was our 6th place rider, or was in 7th. Now he's been caught by the number 206, our XC2 Pro Lights leader of Josh Toth. So Josh Toth is just on rails out there today, Rodney. You've been doing this longer than I have, and maybe you're used to announcing his name, but I don't believe that I've ever even heard this guy in the top 10 before, and now he's out there leading the way.
Right. Now, I do recall the name on very rare occasion. What I don't recall is what we're witnessing right now. Obviously, the seeming domination of a very established class out there in the XC2 Pro Lights class. If I'm not mistaken, I think a race or two ago, he was a little bit of the action there for a little while, and again, here he is again today in a lot of the action, and he's leading that XC2 Pro Lights class. As we look back to the number 2 spot, 37 seconds is what separated he and Trevor Bollinger, TB10 as we like to call him, there at the end of the first lap. Now, one thing to point out about that too is that that's not the first time we've seen Trevor Bollinger behind the 8-ball on the first lap. It's really amazing how he's able to just put his head down and just charge and eat away at lap times out there and close things up. So that 37 seconds is nothing to be afraid of, especially when we haven't even ended the first hour of racing yet. But it does have to lend itself to make you wonder, do we have a new player?
No, there is Josh Toth, and he is all by himself. We saw it in the field there. Had not seen Trevor Bollinger check in yet, so we'll have to wait and see at the finish line what that gap is. But right now, Josh Toth is the man of the hour out there out front. And as you mentioned, Trevor Bollinger, lethal later in these races. We've seen him, outside the top 5 early in some of these races. That looks to be the number 282 of Mike Witkowski there on screen. So he's running within the top 5 or 6 of our XC2 Pro Lights class. Here we see, this is the man of the hour right here, the 206, Josh Toth out of Connecticut. And he leads lap number 3 as we refresh the screen there. We'll see what position that puts him into. Still 6th place overall. We'll wait and we'll watch, and we should next see that it could be the number 10 of Trevor Bollinger or possibly the number 11 Coastal Husqvarna ride of Craig DeLong. Those two were nose to tail when we last saw them on screen about 4 miles ago. So who's it going to be popping out of the woods here? We'll wait and we'll watch. That appears, could that have been Bollinger there? That rider was moving awful fast. We're not sure. We didn't and there we see a couple more riders really on the gas as we refresh here in just a moment. Yeah, we can't tell who those guys are coming out of that shot there. Now as they pan back, there is Craig DeLong. Not sure if we missed anybody. Did we have any other XC2 riders check in there?
We got Trevor Bollinger there in the number 2 spot. He's 7th overall right now as you look at that. Benjamin Kelly, the number 530. He's out of Harwinton, Connecticut. So we got a couple of Connecticut boys out here with us. And it looks like that they are really making the show very interesting here today. We might have a couple new key players in this. You know, we're so traditionally used to seeing these kids come up through the ranks, and to see somebody come from outside the realm of the GNCC Racing Nation, it's pretty exciting to see that we've got that kind of competition coming in right off the bat.
Rodney, you were talking about Trevor Bollinger.
Yep, we've got Megawatt checking in here.
You were talking about Trevor Bollinger being about 37 seconds behind her. So in this morning's youth race, Hunter Reamer led the first 2 laps, fell back into 6th place, worked his way up at the white flag, Johnny. Hunter Reamer was 1 minute 41 seconds behind at the white flag. At the finish line, he was 11 seconds behind.
Wow.
Man, that guy poured it on.
Caleb Russell was in 4th place at the first mile.
All right, we've got a report coming in. Rodney, let us know what that is.
We got an update coming in from mile marker number 4. They're telling us that
mile marker number 1.
I'm sorry, mile marker number 1, that Caleb Russell has dropped back to 4th place. Very interesting. When we saw him, he was on rails by himself. Didn't seem to have much of an issue. No problem. So, again, here we go with these track conditions. This particular track today developing, obviously, a lot different than what folks were expecting coming in. So maybe one of those shadow monsters jumped out and grabbed Caleb Russell also.
Yeah, well, this course, it jumps up and bites you quick, you know, and right from the finish line there, as you jump into the course, you've got a downhill rock section. After the rock section, you know, you've got an off camber, and then it comes up to our hill climb, not this hill climb, a different one, with a big rock face on it. So that possibly could have been one of the places where we saw Caleb Russell lose a little bit of time there and obviously lose 3 positions in 1 mile. He was leading. Next thing we knew, he was in 4th place spot. So we should see him next here. The next time we'll see him on camera will be right here at the 3 mile marker. Should be within just a few moments. Within a minute they're telling us we should be seeing these guys on screen. One other quick thing worth noting here, Rodney. Trevor Bollinger still in that 2nd place ride. 1 minute and 1 second behind Josh Toth now.
Yeah.
So we talked about Trevor Bollinger possibly charging to try and close that gap up. If anything, the exact opposite's true. As for right now, Josh Toth is a man on the mission. He took that 37-second gap that he had at the completion of lap number 1 and turned it into a minute and 1 second. So right now, what that means, Rodney, Josh Toth is clear of Trevor Bollinger, even in the field sections, even in the switchbacks. Trevor Bollinger has no idea where he is. So I'm sure he's getting pit boards, but when you can physically see him, that's kind of that whole, gives you the carrot to chase if you're a rabbit.
Yeah, for sure, and you need those carrots. And, you know, we keep talking about track conditions and obstacles. I want you to look, see the big rocks. They're not nearly boulders, but they're pretty good-sized rocks out there that have been unearthed during these muddier conditions. I think that we've dug a little deeper and drug up even bigger. And look at this new leader. That is Thad Duvall out front in this one. And believe it, Josh Strang right there in the number 2 spot. So it is apparent that Caleb Russell has dropped back. And
Jordan Ashburn here in 3rd. There's Ashburn, so still no Russell. So your top 3 are through, and we're waiting and we're watching. There is the number 1 of KTM machine of Caleb Russell charging hard, trying to close up that gap on Jordan Ashburn. He's there in the 4th place spot, so it'll be interesting. Don't know if we'd be able to get an update to find out exactly what happened, but a major shakeup there, losing probably upwards of 30 seconds in a couple miles of racing and giving up 3 positions.
That's
in the meantime.
amazing. I mean, you look at it, like you say, 24, let's see what the gap was really only 3 seconds. I thought he had a little bit bigger lead than that. I guess it tightened up there after that little get-off that Thad had. But that right there goes to show you, man, Thad was on the charge. Let's look at lap times right here, because remember, Thad went down on that lap time, and he still nearly matched the same lap time that Caleb Russell put down. Caleb put down a 24:13.6. Thad put down a 24:14.4, so a little less than a second slower, but he was down on the ground a lot longer.
Yeah, and here is Thad Duvall on screen, and man, he is charging hard. 2nd place ride, here he comes, the 114 of Josh Strang, really pushing the pace. It looks like those 2 Husky boys have stretched it out a little bit more even than the last time we saw. Here it is now, Caleb Russell around Jordan Ashburn, Russell into third, trying to track down Strang. He's going to get an opportunity to see these guys out in this field section at the 4-mile marker, where we'll catch them in just a moment. But the top 4 passed us here, leading at about the 3.5-mile marker, working their way towards the 4.
There goes the Moto Pro in amongst our riders. He's another rider from up out of the Northeast, out of Massachusetts. Rob Brown's his name, big old dude. And here comes a big dude, fast dude right now, as a matter of fact. Thad Duvall, bad Thad, as a matter of fact. Man on a mission. It's hard to believe that he was absent from the race there just a round or so ago. And it was hard, and I can remember even thinking at the end of the race, wait a minute. Thad Duvall wasn't even in that race today, and that was kind of surprising me that it took me that long to realize it. But look at what he does when he comes back, man. He is out there, man on a mission today.
Yeah, Thad Duvall is known for hard charging, and he's always exciting.
Yeah, we just got a report. Thad Duvall and Josh Strang wheel to wheel right now, and they have about 12 seconds over third place right now.
Wow, pretty amazing stuff right there, Johnny.
We've got now Caleb Russell on screen has taken over the third place position with it looks like he's gapped Jordan Ashburn just a little bit, but these guys are fighting hard over that final podium spot, and it's hard to believe that just a lap ago, where this very spot where we're watching, Thad Duvall was laying on the ground after a hard crash. Now he's back up front leading this race.
That's what I'm saying.
And pulling away.
Yeah, exactly. Think about, the lap time, less than a second difference between he and Caleb Russell at the end of that third lap, and that was even after he had gone down and lost several seconds and was, and if I'm not mistaken, did not Josh Strang get around him briefly for just a moment there?
No, that was actually Jordan Ashburn, who was up to the rear wheel of Thad Duvall. He was next to him, but he never actually made the pass. He squared him up. He was next to him. Thad Duvall was able to hold on to that second-place position, and now it turned into a lead with whatever setback it is that Caleb Russell had. You would have to assume that it had to be. There was Josh Toth leading the way in the XC2 Pro Lights class at the 3-mile marker. He's up over that hill climb. I still don't believe on screen we've seen Chris Bach. Now we're looking back. Looks to be possibly Ricky Russell, one of our XC1 Pro riders. We're still watching. Now we're out in the field here. Camera kind of panning feverishly just to show us just how these ruts are gnarly and how this has gotten soft and really rough here. Now here we see the number 4 JCR Honda, Chris Bach, in the 5th place spot. He's got a big gap to make up, though, to catch up to those top 4 who are running more or less wheel to wheel, all within 5 to 10 seconds of each other. And Bach, as we checked in at the end of lap number 3, he was roughly a minute and 1 second. Is that? Yep. 1 minute, 1 second behind Jordan Ashburn in that 5th place spot. So he's got quite a gap to make up, and it doesn't appear. There's Lane Michael, another rider we saw on the ground early. Rodney, as we talk about that, you got to believe we've never seen so many riders on the ground so early in a race, and not just little tip overs. I mean, these guys are hitting the dirt and hitting it hard. Oh, and there's another one down right in front of our camera, so we better stop talking about it. We might be jinxing these guys.
Yeah, we're watching Duvall, and pretty impressive stuff that we're witnessing going on right now. And, as we roll through this season, it only 5 rounds in. This is our 6th round that we got going on right now. But, his season actually started off pretty rough. And, you got to wonder, what is the mindset of him? How's it gone for him? And what's it been like from his angle? And that's exactly what we had a chance to catch up with him and talk to him about.
Yeah, it's been a wild year. The first couple races didn't go as planned. I was running a really good race at Georgia and ran out of gas with like 6 miles to go and was battling for the win and stuff. But, it's just part of racing. And, I had a couple bad races and then ended up having a bad crash and ended up missing the big buck due to a head injury. But, we bounced back and got on the podium last race. So, I'm excited for here. I really enjoy this Indiana dirt over here. And as you can tell, it's cold and rainy today. And, the nastier the conditions, for some reason, I seem to do a little better in. So, I want to go out and try to win this thing tomorrow. I kept my mechanic pretty busy the last 2 weeks, after the last race. The Mudfest and stuff was pretty hard on the bike. So, that's going to be some tough competition. I think this is probably one of the tougher years I've had. And, it's some really good racers this year. So, hopefully we can go out and put it on the box and be better to put it in the middle.
Well, it may be one of the toughest years of competition for him, but at the same time, it has been, I think, probably his highest level of competition that he's been able to put out on the racetrack. And though he did miss the round at Big Buck, like he said, due to a head injury, it was the next race. It amazes me how he just keeps coming back after being off the radar, and not even realizing there at least myself personally, that Thad Duvall wasn't even in that race until basically after the race, and then he come back third place a couple of weeks ago, and now leading this one. And prospectively, possibly, and I'm not going to say likely because this is a long race, but an hour and nearly 4 minutes into it, looking like he could be a big winner here today. And that would be a great way to rebound back from those injuries, and that would also be a great way for him to regain some points that were lost in just a couple of weeks, well, about a month or so ago, I guess now if you look at the calendar. But this is a very good day for Thad Duvall for a lot of different reasons. One, championship points, but I think as much and probably more than anything, continuing to build the confidence that we've seen growing so much here in 2016, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head there when you said, Thad Duvall is, oh, look at this. We've got one of our XC2 riders looking like they're making some line changes mid-hill because they've got a lapper there that has kind of mixed things up for him. Now we see Mike Witkowski, another one of our XC2 riders. We did just see Austin Lee, a local boy out of Bedford, Indiana, on screen. He's a rider that's doing really well here. But going back to Thad, I got to believe at this point, championship points, Rodney, are almost can't be on the radar for him with the first part of the season that he's had. He didn't finish any of the first several rounds, and he, really struggled with some issues. But, speed has been always there. His riding has been on point. And then after those issues that he had and then having to miss that round with head injury and concussion, he was as far back as, outside the top 5.
He scored 2 finishes so far in 2016. A 10th place finish in Georgia.
Yep.
And then he comes back for a 3rd place finish there at Camp Coker.
And that 10th place finish in Georgia, that was a race where he was running in a podium spot on the final lap, had a podium well in hand, and ran out of fuel with 6 miles to go, as you pointed out. So, that was a heartbreaker for him. They had an issue in Florida. Then in North Carolina, he had another issue. Then he had to sit out South Carolina due to his head injury. Then the second South Carolina race, he's right back on the podium, and right now running not only in a podium position, but running in the lead. So at this point, if you're Thad Duvall, you're almost not thinking about points. You're thinking about, hey, maybe the championship's gone for me this year.
It's time to make a name for myself.
But I'm going to win races. And if you win races, the points will take care of themselves. 30 points is the maximum you can score in GNCC racing, and if you win, that's how many you get. So if Thad could click off some wins, you never know what could possibly happen.
Right.
But I really honestly believe at this point, Thad Duvall is thinking race to race. He wants to win races, and no better way to do it than to get out front and twist the throttle like only Bad Thad can, and that's what he's doing right now.
That's exactly what he's doing right now. But if nothing else, it would be some great bragging rights for him if he could come back and win a whole bunch of races. And let's not put a lot on his plate just yet. Let's help him build what he's building right here, and that is a rock-solid program that has really been building for a long time, Johnny. And I think it shows us the foundation that he has put together over the last couple of years, where it's actually bringing that program to right now.
Yeah, we've seen so many ups and downs in Thad Duvall's career. He was a standout mini rider who won, races, won championships, was untouchable as a mini rider. Then he comes in, I don't know if he ever actually ran A-Class or if he went straight to XC2 Pro Lights, but won a championship or possibly even 2 in that XC2 Pro Lights class, and nearly winning overalls, battling with the likes of riders like David Knight at Snowshoe. Had some podium overalls, nearly winning, or did finish on the overall podium, second at Snowshoe, and was nearly on the podium several other times. Was such a standout rider. Then suddenly, when he went into the XC1 Pro class, the consistency was gone. He just never was able to put it together. They had bike issues, they had rider issues, most importantly, they were just unable to consistently score points race after race. And that's kind of been what has plagued Thad Duvall throughout his entire XC1 Pro career until last year. His second year, I believe, with that KR4 program, they put together a solid program. He ran strong all year, was able to ultimately come together and finish the season in a 5th place position, which is the best we've ever seen Thad Duvall finish for an overall, and actually did win the Somerset round last year. So it was really a breakthrough year for him. We were really, really expecting big things out of Thad Duvall coming into this year. Now here we are at round 6. It hasn't really panned out quite the way we expected, but again, the easiest way to get a win streak going is to win that first one, and that is exactly what Thad Duvall is trying to do here today.
Yeah, he wants that 1 in a row to try to make it 2 in a row, to try to make that 3 in a row, and so on and so forth to try to work into. All right, we got an update coming in on Channel 2, so stand by right here, guys. Sounds like a pretty heated one right now, so hang on. All right, go ahead, update.
I'm at the 6.5 mile marker, and it's Thad Duvall, Josh String, and Caleb Russell.
10-4. So Caleb Russell now up to the number 3 spot after riding in that.
He's in 4th place.
10-4. Thank you, Jacob. So a little bit of a change of events there with Jordan Ashburn dropping back to 4th place now. Caleb Russell back up to a 3rd place position. But it almost sounds like, Johnny, that we are witnessing maybe the coming back right now of Caleb Russell. Whatever issues, whatever problem, whatever it was that he was faced with or had, he has got his race mind back on, and he is pointed forward and moving just exactly like that forward and trying to reel those guys back in. We're only an hour and 10 minutes into this Limestone 100 GNCC, so still plenty of time for things to happen. And even if it was only a 2-hour race, 50 minutes is a lot for a lot of things to happen too as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Rodney. You know, we've seen Caleb Russell had whatever issues it was that he did have, or you know, it's hard to believe those guys just turned the wick up that much because he lost so much time and those positions in such a short span of distance on the track. You got to believe he either went down or got stuck, had some kind of an issue. He was able to work his way back up. When we last saw him on camera, he was in that 3rd place spot, had gotten around Ashburn and had already started to gap him. So you've got to believe that, you know, this guy right now is on a mission. He knows that those leaders, if he lets them get away, each of these guys are proven race winners. They've got the speed. He's trying everything that he possibly can to track them down, to try and get up there and battle for the win. There we see Zach Nolan on screen, the 721 machine. He was the top amateur at our last round in South Carolina. This is a rider we've seen, or actually, I'm sorry, was yeah, he did win the overall. He's been on the overall amateur podium several times in the last couple of races, and these guys, they're out there pushing the pace early. You know, this track has really shaped up quite a bit from what it was just a few hours ago, and we're joined in the booth right now by Mackenzie Tricker. Mackenzie, you were out there this morning, and you were battling in that WXC class. You were up within the top 5, battling after winning the last 2 races, and you weren't able to get the finish today. What happened out there for you?
Yeah, today was a little bit difficult. I got a pretty good start, and I was running within the top couple of girls, and then I crashed probably 5 or 6 times on the first lap, and then I was just trying to...
What's going on there? Now, that brings up a good question, because we've seen a lot of crashing here today, and that's one thing that I wanted to talk to you about. I talked to some other morning folks, and they talked about how the it was a challenging racetrack this morning.
Yeah, I would be riding in a straight line, all of a sudden my front's tuck and I'm on the deck again, and then you're all muddy, and I think the toughest part is the mud was sticking to my wheels, and I mean, it was just, my wheels were solid, so I had no traction or anything. And then finally on the end of lap 3, I started to feel good. Started lap 3. I was starting to feel a bit better and learning some better lines and stuff, and I clipped a tree and messed up my radiator, so I wasn't able to finish. But it was a learning experience for sure.
Got a taste of what Ohio could be like with that mud packing up on those wheels for sure.
Well, actually, Ohio's about 100 times worse than
I know.
as far as that mud packing up. But, you know, Mackenzie, you pointed out that you were on the ground a bunch, and what we've seen, I think with the changing track conditions, it seemed like a lot of the riders in this morning 10 a.m. race were saying that, you know, again, it was that front-end washing due to the tire packing up with mud and just lack of traction. What we've seen throughout this afternoon race so far is riders going down for different reasons. The track has gotten so rough. There's kickers. We saw Caleb Russell with the bar-to-bar tank slapper nearly go down on VP Fuels Pro Row at high speed. We saw Thad Duvall. Here's the rider we see on screen right now, Thad Duvall. We saw him on the ground. And it seems to be that the back end of these machines are getting kicked. So was the course getting much rougher as it was going on throughout that morning race?
Wow, that's close.
Yeah, definitely. I think because the dirt was so soft, it was getting rough, and I don't know how it went for them, but it was. I mean, how the track is for those guys, but it wasn't too bad for us.
Wow, Caleb Russell all over the rear tile of that second place ride. Josh Strang now, and just ahead of them is still the number 5 of Thad Duvall. As Duvall, we saw him looking over his shoulder there a moment ago. There is the number 7 Westfield Power Sports ride of Jordy Ashburn running still solid in the number 4 position as we roll through this now 7-mile marker. We are looking to see these riders near the finish line here shortly, but again, wow, look at that. Those
and
are the
there's another spot. We see those back ends just getting kicked everywhere. This course is getting incredibly rough. The ruts are getting dug out, and what happens is they get a little kicker at the end of them where they hit that dry, solid dirt, and it's just really throwing these machines around, and these guys are having a heck of a time hanging on to them.
Yeah, you're noticing these riders are now starting to swing to the complete outside around this tree, so obviously whatever it is near the inside of that turn, and causing those guys to readjust their riding as they come through.
That's our shadow monster.
Yeah, the shadow monster. And like Mackenzie knows, there was a lot of those. Mackenzie, I know that you're a big GNCC star now, and you're a big part of the WXC class. But not only the WXC class, you're also all right, we're over into the pro pits. We'll talk about this in just a second. Let's watch this right now, Johnny. This is a pit stop. This is going to be pretty critical for these guys.
Josh Strang looking like he's taking some fresh goggles, getting that fuel, and we're going to see if how these guys get out in terms of, Caleb Russell's out. Caleb Russell makes the pass for second in the VP Fuels Pro Row. Strang really fumbling with those goggles. Not sure what the issue is. He's lost this spot to Jordan Ashburn now.
Oh, that's
Nope, I'm sorry, that is not Ashburn. I thought he had lost that spot, but we should see Jordan Ashburn coming just about any moment now. Oh, there is Ashburn. He's also in the pits. They're cleaning off that front number plate so they know it's him coming. He's taking a splash of fuel. He's gotten some fresh goggles already, and he is out in his way in pursuit of trying to reel in a podium position. The man right now out front, the number 5 KR4 Husqvarna, Thad Duvall leading the way. Now as we pan back and we watch coming out of the woods, look at this. The number 1 FMF KTM, Caleb Russell into that second place spot, pulled up a little bit of a gap on the number 114 and Josh Strang. So there is your current podium as they run, and these are 3 guys that we surely expected to see up front here.
24:27 lap time for Thad Duvall, a 24:40 there for Caleb Russell, who is now 9.4 seconds behind Thad Duvall, who is in the number 1 spot. Josh Strang checking in the number 3 spot. 5.5 seconds behind Caleb Russell. His lap time at 24 minutes, 37 seconds. And that's even after the pit stop, so we got to take into account these guys also took pit stops there a few moments ago. Mackenzie, while we continue to watch here at the finish line, and we'll catch up with these XC1 and XC2 guys, and we'll start dabbling in with some of our other classes here in just a moment. You, as we were saying, becoming a top WXC star, and that's something that at the beginning of the season wasn't probably even in your repertoire. You were thinking, I'm just going to go out and hit 1 or 2 of these and see what it's like. But you found a new home, it looks like.
I wouldn't say it's a new home, but yeah, I've always wanted to try them. Obviously, since Jess was racing them, and I came and watched her do a lot of them, and some of the ones I went to looked fun, others not so much. But I was finally able to do one. I did North Carolina, and I had some troubles there, but then Big Buck and the last South Carolina one went really well. I obviously go and try and win, but I definitely wasn't expecting to win the last 2. I was shooting for a podium, and but I'll take those wins for sure. It's been fun, but this weekend definitely didn't go to plan.
Well, if you don't want to call the Woods home, what are we going to call it? I mean, if you become a title contender all of a sudden, what do you?
I don't know.
A trailer park, a mobile home. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Kind of like that.
I don't know. I'm still a motocross racer. I don't know if you could call me a woods racer yet. I'm not full time over here, but
you're well on your way, though. It looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to do. I want to do some more just because we have so many breaks in between the WMX, and I like to keep busy.
And it's good cross training.
Yeah, exactly. Just got to keep away from those trees. That's the one thing.
We're doing a fine job of that. What's next for you now? I mean, next week you go to where now?
Next Thursday and Friday we race at Hanktown. It's, I think, round 4 of the WMX series.
Nice.
Yeah, so I leave on Tuesday, and I'll be out there for a little while, and then hopefully everything goes well there, and then I'll be back for Ohio, I guess.
All right. Now, how are you doing in the WMX series right now?
I think I'm 3rd. The first 2 rounds didn't really go too good, but then I won Parlor, and I've been working hard since Parlor and Freestone, so hopefully I can go and win Hanktown.
That's awesome. I think it all goes hand in hand together, especially the way the schedule's working out for you. I mean, you couldn't ask for honestly, revel in this right now while you can, because you got the world in the palm of your hands, man. You've got races every weekend. You got people looking forward to you being there. You got good things going on right now, Mackenzie.
Yeah.
And I'm real proud and happy for you right now.
Thank you. It's been going good. Just got to keep the ball rolling for sure.
Oh, I think you'll do just that. Now, what's your pick for the day? If you were tweeting your podium predictions today, who would you be tweeting right now for your chance to win $250 in AMSOIL product right now?
I mean, it's hard to not pick Caleb for the win. I wish the Aussies Strang and Milner could go 1-2, but right now I don't know. I think Caleb probably will win and Strang second, and I don't know about third.
You don't know about third?
Yeah.
Well, how about Thad Duvall?
Maybe Thad, yeah.
Yeah, it's highly unpredictable right now, so that's yours, and you hashtag those GNCC Live. We'll enter you into a contest to win some $250 in AMSOIL products. Sound fun?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll do
You
it.
can also do a Twitter or an Instagram contest. We're doing an Instagram photo contest where how do you hashtag GNCC Live, and you Instagram that, and you hashtag that again, GNCC Live, and we'll put you in a drawing for a T-shirt from Moto T's event souvenir shirts. That's cool.
Okay.
All right, you gonna do that?
Yeah.
I want to see your picture pop up here shortly, on the Instagram.
Yeah.
All right, Mackenzie Tricker from the WXC class, and again, you finished what today?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I didn't finish, so when I looked, but when the girls were finishing, I was in 7th, but that could have changed.
Yeah.
I needed
rough day.
3
Well,
laps.
I'm glad you're healthy. Glad you're ready to go out and challenge Hangtown here in just a few days. That's Mackenzie Tricker, one of our top WMX stars, and whether she wants to admit it or not, she's finding a new place and a residence here in the off-road racing world. Lane Michael, who had some struggles in the early part of the race after a little get off, is they're trying to hose that radiator out, having some overheating issues and things of that nature with that one. So he checks in right now. If we look at the standings right now, Lane Michael is 15th overall. And if you look at the class itself and the XC2 Pro Lights right now, you've got we've got a change with Benjamin Kelly now leading the XC2 Pro Lights class on board the number 530. Bollinger is second, Craig DeLong in third, Jesse Grom in fourth. Our early leader, the Connecticut rider of Winstead, Connecticut, Josh Toth, is now fifth. His fellow Connecticut rider there, Benjamin Kelly, is the new leader aboard the 530. So Toth goes back to the number 5 spot. Austin Lee is sixth. Lane Michael, whom we saw in the pits there a moment ago, is seventh. Michael Witkowski in the number 8 spot. Vance Francis is ninth. And Trevor Barrett, the 945, rounds out your top 10 there in the XC2 Pro Lights classes. Johnny Gallagher joins us once again here in the studio. And, Johnny, I know you've been out looking and checking things out, but as you can see, everybody trying to do what they can out here on this racetrack today. And at this point, it almost seems like they're trying to maybe just get through this one at times. I mean, even Mackenzie Tricker, who was an avid and great motorcycle rider, found her struggles out there today. So, and we've seen top XC1 riders and XC2
there is our
riders.
top XC1 rider, Thad Duvall, on screen at the 3-mile marker. He's pushing hard, but look at this. Caleb Russell really closed that gap up now. He can see Thad Duvall, and now there is Josh Strang, the number 114 machine there in third. We'll look back, we'll wait, and we'll watch, and we'll see if we can catch a glimpse of Jordan Ashburn. But it appears that right now he's been shaken loose from that lead group. As we watch here, that is not Jordan Ashburn, so now he's really dropped some time. We saw he was up within striking distance again. That's still not Jordan Ashburn, so he's really lost some ground now on those top 3. It looked like he might be making a run to try and reel back in that podium position. Now here we see the number 7 machine of Jordan Ashburn, that Westfield Power Sports KTM. He is really charging hard, trying to get back into a podium place position. But man, it's got a long way to go for him right now. He's really dropped a lot of time to that lead 3. Thad Duvall pushing the pace because he knows that the man behind him on a mission is Caleb Russell at the moment. So we'll see what things shape up here. We should see these guys again at the 4-mile marker in just about a minute here. So we'll switch to that camera here in just a few moments. I don't believe we'll get a chance to catch a glimpse of Chris Bach here at the 3-mile marker before those guys make it to the 4. So that really shows you the gap that they've opened up here early in this one. Well, now an hour and 22 minutes. We're almost at the halfway point of this one. So things are that's one of our lapped riders. But this will be the shot where we'll see him at the 4-mile marker here in just a few moments. We should see our leader, Thad Duvall, followed closely by the number 1 KTM of Caleb Russell. Third place is Josh Strang. So those are your top three, as we saw him just a moment ago there. And it's been crazy to see the shakeup of, again, here he is, Thad Duvall leading the way. Caleb Russell hot on his heels, and we'll look back. There is Josh Strang, all three in the same shot, hard on the gas. Again, that was the corner right there where Thad Duvall lost it at the completion of the first full lap, which would have been lap number 2. And, Duvall getting a little risky there coming out of that corner. But these three guys are just really pushing the pace right now.
Yeah, it looks like Caleb actually starting to close up that gap here in this open field section. Thad is certainly struggling to try to maintain the pace and keep ahead of Caleb Russell. And as producer Price Harden said, if you look real close, you can see the blood in the water right now as the Sharks are starting to circle up front. But, you know, here's the good thing and interesting thing to point out. I don't want to say that I called this one, but I certainly wondered and hoped that we would see a scenario or situation develop like what we're seeing here today, especially after yesterday's ATV race. That was one of the questions that I had going into this. Were we going to see the same type of thing, lead changes and freight training type situations that we saw with the XC1 Pro ATV riders yesterday? And so far, it really looks like it might be shaping up for, if not for the rest of the race, or at least for a little while in this race, because the three riders that we have up front that are about to really wage this war for the #1 spot, Johnny Gallagher, are probably three of the best riders in the world to really do this right now.
Absolutely. You know, you've got Thad Duvall leading the way, and as we've talked about, this guy just has unbelievable world-class speed. You know, he's it's crazy the amount of speed that Thad Duvall has when he's able to put it all together. In second place, obviously Caleb Russell with those championships, with the resume like his, he's going to do everything within his power, and that's quite a bit of power that he does have to try and track this win down. He's not going to be at all happy with settling for a second place spot. And the guy back there in third place, Josh Strang, you know, you really can't say enough about what he did this year, coming out and winning the first 2 rounds and really putting Caleb Russell kind of on his back foot in a defensive position for the first time in many, many years. You know, Caleb Russell able to come back and win the last few races, but nonetheless, you know, it's really been kind of a battle of the titans between those two. And then you throw in bad Thad Duvall. Man, you've got three guys, like you said, world-class speed, world-class talent. Here we see our XC2 class leader. Now, we did know that was Josh Toth, but now it's what I would have to believe is his traveling buddy, being that they both came from Connecticut, Benjamin Kelly. So, boy, these guys really must be loving these conditions. Stu Baylor, our 6th place rider in XC1 there on screen. Oh, Baylor has a problem, has to go off course, loses a spot to Daniel Milner. So there it is. Baylor had made his way back around Milner into that 6th place spot where he was before, having lost that brake pedal. Now he's dropped that spot back again. There is Trevor Bollinger. So Bollinger now much closer than that 1 minute, 1 second gap that we saw earlier, Rodney.
Yes, for sure. And, you know, talking about the conditions and talking about Caleb Russell there just a moment ago, made me remember, you know, Caleb is one of the best managers of time and effort as we go through the 4 mile marker here right now, Johnny.
That is Chris Bach working his way through now. That would be our 5th place rider in XC1 and overall at the 4 mile marker. Next after him, we should see our XC2 lights leader of Benjamin Kelly. Here we see Jesse Grom on screen, was up front early there, and now he's fallen back quite a ways after that crash we saw with Lane Michael earlier in the race.
And, you know, we were talking about, you know, Caleb Russell, as we said there a moment ago, and talking about conditions. We saw what happened there, Caleb finding some sort of an issue, getting pass dropping all the way back to 4th place. And, you know, even Caleb Russell, he's human. He makes mistakes. And now Caleb has dropped back to the 3rd place position after closing in. We're getting a report from the 5 mile marker. And, you know, we had to ask heading into this because, you know, we see a few mistakes coming from this rider. But I guess the big question is, how do you manage mistakes like that? And we had a chance to talk about Caleb Russell about riding in these muddy conditions.
It's next to impossible to have, you know, a perfect mistake-free race. I mean, you're going to drag your foot in corners. You're going to, you know, dab here and there. Like it's a given. I mean, it's going to happen, and especially with the other riders and the lappers and just the different caliber of riders that are on the track. You know, you're going to run into some problems here and there. But you know, it's definitely just, you know, being smart and just picking your way through the track and knowing when to push and when to back it down, and yeah, just picking apart the racetrack really, and trying to find the smoother lines, and knowing how the track's going to develop to be able to find those lines. So as far as being a perfectionist, it'd be super tough to go an entire, a perfect race and off-road would be, just not following the entire race. And I do that quite often, but you'll still have some dumb little mistakes where you fall over in a corner and just stall your bike here and there, but that's kind of a given in off-road.
And we're back here at the 3-mile marker. Caleb Russell talking about those mistakes and how you have to manage them. And obviously he's still within striking distance of the lead, but some uncharacteristic mistakes out of Caleb Russell. He's talking about dragging a foot out of a corner or having a dab where you weren't intending. I would have to imagine that losing 3 spots in all that time on lap number 3 and then charging all the way back and now again losing a spot to Strang here, those might be more than just an occasional dragging of a foot or dabbing there. He's had some setbacks, and again, this course is really one where you have to focus. And again, the rider that has the best lines and is able to put together the smoothest laps is the rider we're going to see come out on top here at the end of this 3-hour Limestone 100. But right now, that rider Thad Duvall, we've seen Thad so many times in these tough conditions like this where he just really rises to the occasion, Rodney. And coming from West Virginia, he's a rider that's used to riding in technical conditions, but you couldn't really say this place is anything like West Virginia. I think probably the best way to explain it is Thad Duvall thrives in less than ideal conditions, and that's what we have here today.
I think that's a good way to put it, Johnny. And for some reason, when we come to scenarios and situations like this, it becomes a time when you really start to expect to see Thad rise above the the rest or a lot of the other riders out there on the course. So it's not really a surprise, I guess, in the big picture and grand scheme of things, to see Thad doing exactly what he's doing right here. And honestly, probably what the biggest surprise is the struggles that Caleb Russell is having today. And again, it's just another proof positive that Caleb is human, and it also is a proof positive that our XC1 Pro bike class is starting to gain a world of confidence, which is something that they're going to need to help keep each other pushing to new levels like that. And as though it may seem like Caleb may be putting him in a struggle, this actually might be something that helps him in the long run, because it means he's going to have to work harder to stay faster.
Absolutely, Rodney. And one thing that is worth noting here, as we see, looks like Mike Witkowski coming to the left of our screen there, and there he is. He's running within the top 10 there in that XC2 Pro Lights class. He's just behind Lane Michael. So Lane Michael on the charge again, trying to work his way up back into a possible podium or top 5 position, as he has been struggling a bit here after that crash. He was able to make up some ground, then it looks like he lost some again. Jesse Grom, another rider that's up in there battling, trying to work his way back up. But a few years ago, Rodney, if you recall, I don't know if it was 2013 or 2014, but Caleb Russell had a crazy crash here at the Limestone 100, completely destroyed his motorcycle. The subframe was bent. It didn't even appear to be rideable. Somehow he manhandled that machine, came back, and if memory serves me, he either took second place away from Thad Duvall in the final corner or nearly took second place away from Thad Duvall. It was an epic battle to the finish line. I believe it was Charlie Mullins who won that day, but it was, 2013. There we go. Charlie Mullins, Caleb Russell second, Thad Duvall third. And, Rodney, that pass happened in the final corner. So these guys have no love lost, in terms of battling each other to the finish line. Right now, Russell back there in that third place spot, Strang in second, and there's another rider that Caleb Russell has had his share of battles to the finish with, and those two don't really profess to be bestest of buddies. They race each other clean, they race each other fair. All these guys have respect for each other, but when it's a guy that you don't hang out with off the track and don't buddy up with, it makes you want to push that much harder to make sure that you show that guy who's boss.
Speaking of finishes, let's go to an interview with Boris about that crazy finish.
Well, talking about finishes, you were talking about that crazy finish. I know you were out on the track yesterday, and you didn't get a chance to see the crazy finish that we had yet.
I saw the video.
Did you see it? Well, let's take a look at that for you two-wheel fans. I want you to see. We're going to talk with Chris Borich about that amazing finish that we saw happen there yesterday.
Last lap, we were third. I was actually leading. Got passed on a pretty good line. They got by me and just tried to stay with them. ended up getting by Fowler right here before the pit area, and then tried to make a move on McGill right here, right at the finish line. I mean, 2 turns before the finish, had him passed, and then I don't know if I came into the corner too hot or if he was coming in hot as well, and then clipped my rear end, but went into the berm, cartwheeled there, ended up wrecking. Tried to get back up as quick as we could, but couldn't get out from underneath the bike for a little bit, and ended up 4th. I mean, when you kind of wait that last minute to try to make a move, that's all part of racing, but it was just a tough track out there. There were so many lines, and they were some were pretty questionable, and but I mean that's all part of this race. And I mean, once the track gets so blown out that you're just kind of looking for lines to make it through.
Well, that's interesting that he says that, because I talked to a lot of people that said that yesterday's 10 o'clock race, there were more lines available than they ever thought possible. He said that there was so many lines. You'd be riding along and you look over 20 feet over in the woods, and there was another racetrack just as burned in as the racetrack you're on, and then to the left there was another one burned in there. So a lot of opportunities for riders to choose lines in out there yesterday, and I'm sure they're afforded the same opportunities and luxuries here today. And it's I would also say that it's going to create exactly what we're seeing out here right now, this good nose-to-tail type battling, the kind of stuff that we really like to see as a GNCC racing fan. I know that the riders themselves, they like to go into the checkout modes, but we as race fans, this is what brings us to the racetrack, are these types of rides like this, these types of days, the opportunity to see these guys go at it wheel to wheel and see who comes out on top after a mano-a-mano battle.
Yeah, absolutely, Rodney. You know, and with race course conditions like they are a little bit today and definitely yesterday, you know, things were a little bit wetter yesterday, as we could see from that video. But Chris Board's pushing it down to the finish line like that, trying to win. You know, I think that's obviously he's on by far the longest dry spell for wins of his entire career after winning 72 or 73 races. You know, he's now coming up. He's nearing 2 years without a win, you know, and it's been a real struggle for him. He was in that position, was leading, and as he said, got passed on some good lines and maybe some that were not so good. But you know, it's kind of a conundrum you have as a rider when you're out there. You have to balance your desire to win with your morals as to how far you're willing to push that.
Right.
And there's some guys that are certainly willing to go a lot further to win than others. Right. And you know, Chris, I think, was a little frustrated coming to the finish there with having lost those positions, and saw an opportunity to make that pass and was able to, it looked like just before that he was able to make the pass on Walker Fowler for the second place position, and then had a good line saved up right coming to the finish, you know, just mere inches off the main line, that he was able to get to the inside of McGill and make that pass. Unfortunately, I think, as the saying goes, send it for the kids. Well, he sent it just a little bit too hard into that corner, clipped the berm, and then McGill was right there, got into the back of him. Certainly nothing intentional.
Well, actually, I watched it in slow motion. McGill had absolutely nothing to do with his crash. He was already over on his side and toppled over whenever McGill hit him. If you watch it in slow motion, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I'm not going to argue
he
the
was
fact
up
right
on
now.
2 wheels, and McGill kind of finished him off, but it wasn't his fault at all. It was just a matter of momentum.
Chris was already over. Adam had nothing to do with that. But anyway, back to the race today here, Johnny, and we're watching right now at the 4-mile marker. Something I want to point out, I've been watching the amateurs just a little bit. We had Zach Nolan, who was actually a top 25 rider in the overall from the 258 class, but after lap 4, we got ourselves a race about ready to, well, it is taking place.
A new leader, Rodney. Josh Strang leading the way. He's taking over that number 1 spot away from Thad Duvall. So he was in 3rd. We can see him fumbling with his tear-offs there. Did he just remove his goggles? Nope, the goggles are still on. He was just fumbling with the tear-off there a bit.
Wow.
You can see he's got something on top of his helmet there, and it looks to be – there is Thad Duvall in the number 2 spot. Look at these guys battling. Oh, Caleb Russell was in there, and I missed him, Rodney. Man, look at this. You could throw a blanket over the top 3 here today.
That was crazy.
These are conditions that are very reminiscent of yesterday.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we were hoping for as a race fan, to be able to watch a battle just like this and to see multiple lead changes is just amazing. Seeing it in the top overall amateur right there, as we said, we were talking about the 250A and the Open A now. Your top 25, Levi Keller, out of Chillicothe, Ohio, is leading the top amateur spot from the Open A class after 4 laps of racing complete. And as we are here on lap number 4, an hour and now 38 minutes into this race, I'm going to go ahead and start taking a look and dabbling. Now, we'll be watching this as we watch Jordan Ashburn, the fourth-place rider, make his way through the start section of this out near that. I think this is really more closer to the 9-mile marker, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit further than the 7. I would call it maybe the 8 because I think the finish line is the 9.5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's only about 3/4 of a mile or so to the finish from the starting line. So
yeah, it's a good section of high speed. So they're going to be at the finish line here in just a matter of moments. We'll see them here checking in at the completion of lap number 4. They'll head out on lap number 5. It'll be interesting to see. We saw some pitting going on 2 laps ago. Are we going to see some more pit stops this lap? Because
I don't know.
With riders inside, or the top 3 running inside of 2 seconds of each other, you got to wonder, a pit stop could be all the difference. Now, we did see, I believe, Caleb Russell and Josh Strang in the pits last lap because that's where Caleb Russell was able to make the pass and take over that second-place spot. Now, here we see Caleb Russell on screen. He's made the pass on – oh, nope, that's Thad Duvall behind him. So did we lose Josh Strang, or did he already check in? Josh Strang did check in.
Yeah.
He is still your leader. Caleb
Josh
Russell
came
in
through
second.
with a 3.3-second lead over Russell with a 1.5-second lead over Duvall.
Boy, these guys still nose to tail, Rodney, and you gotta understand kind of the dynamic of what racing shapes up like when you're racing that closely together. It lends you to kind of want to really push yourself and make those passes and push those corners deep. But on a track condition like this, you really kind of want to lay back and take a look at some of these sections when you come into them. But it's hard to do that when you've got 2 riders all over you trying to make that pass.
Wow, man. Josh Strang made up 20 seconds on Thad Duvall that last lap. A 23:40 for Josh Strang, a 23:49 lap time for Caleb Russell, and a 24-minute flat lap time for Bad Thad Duvall on lap number 5.
Yeah, that's really starting to see the conditions come into play here. These guys are pushing hard. Now we see the the fourth place rider, the number 7 of Jordan Ashburn coming through. He's really been riding well here today. He was unfortunately kind of now falling into that no man's land gap.
Yep, nearly a minute down now at 58.5 seconds.
Here we see the 5th place ride in XC1 and overall of Chris Bach, the number 4 JCR Honda there. He's, an Indiana boy looking good there early with the early lead, and now he's falling back to that 4th place spot. Still a respectable ride, obviously, with the conditions and the competition that he's dealing with.
Yeah, there's a minute between 3rd and 4th and almost 2 minutes now between the 4th and 5th place position. So kind of wild the way that translates into that. You almost would think that there would be a lot of battling going on behind these guys as well, but evidently whatever it is that separated those guys back there is keeping them separated, but it's also what's been making these guys stay so tight, I believe, here in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place positions. Let's take a look at some of those Instagram photos that we have been hashtagging GNCC Live. I thought that was Chelsea Taylor there for a moment. That's Amy K. Jaycott, and Amy J.K. How Morgan watches RacerTV on our way from the Limestone 100. So they were here earlier, and they're on their way home right now watching in the car. So welcome along there, Amy Jaycott. Glad to have you guys on board at the GNCC, and now on board RacerTV.com on your way home.
Yep, and Wheels 988 there says, just a little banana and a Cliff Bar snack to get me through this exciting Limestone 100. And he says, how do I hashtag GNCC Live? Every Sunday afternoon with 2 laptops and an iPhone. He's watching the live tweets, the updates, and Racer TV. So he's really tuned in, making sure he doesn't miss anything there. Wheels 988. He's making sure he doesn't miss a single thing there, Rodney.
That's amazing, man. Glad to have you on board there, Wheels 988. Look at that. We got a fight going on. That ain't my son, is it? I thought it was there for a minute.
These kids are doing a little wrestling.
Hey, wait a minute. I got to go use my belt for a minute. Move that camera. But no, that's it. The kids having fun, and they are mom, dad. Look at that. They're just all chilled out. That's how they're hashtag GNCC living right now. They're all kicked back trackside right there, watching some great things unfold here. Now, make sure if you want to participate, you can do your Instagramming and hashtag GNCC Live for a chance to win a Moto Tees event T-shirt. There's old, TV.
You got to wonder, has he taken over the lead? He had reeled in quite a bit. We lost our first place rider of Josh Toth. He was leading, had a 1 minute, 1 second gap. Last lap, he was back in the 5th or 6th place spot, I believe, Rodney. He dropped back quite a bit.
Right.
Benjamin Kelly, a fellow Connecticut rider, had taken over the lead. Now there, Craig DeLong still shadowing Trevor Bollinger. worth noting here, Rodney, those two have been that close together all day long so far. Every time you see Bollinger, that white fender just in the back of the shot there is Craig DeLong. You know, I know the DeLong camp and that Coastal Husqvarna team have talked a good bit about Trevor Bollinger kind of being the guy to beat in that class, at least in terms of the championship points so far. Stu Baylor now. So Baylor must have had some additional problems because he was up quite a bit further. He was ahead of all of those XC2 riders still, or had passed them back, and now he's back a little bit further behind Bollinger and Craig DeLong as well. And we may have seen our leader, Benjamin Kelly. Not sure. We'll have to wait till they check in at the finish line here in just the next few moments.
Right, we're due in about, according to timing and scoring, a little less than a minute. And as soon as these guys check in, I do want to start taking a look at some of these amateur classes for you, as we are just past the halfway point, about an hour and 44 minutes into this race now. It is lap number 5 we're working on. 4 laps are complete, and we are racing here at our 5th annual running of the Limestone 100 GNCC. Something notable to point out, Caleb Russell has finished on the podium or won at each one of the previous 4 Limestone 100 GNCCs.
There is your XC2 class leader, so it is still Benjamin Kelly, Trevor Bollinger, and Craig DeLong both into the pits, but they are just a few seconds behind your leader, Benjamin Kelly. As we watch here, we should see Bollinger popping into the screen just about any moment at the finish line chicanes. We pan back. We should see that number 10 JCR Honda TB9. Looks like that pit stop cost him some time because he was a little closer just a moment ago. We'll wait and we'll watch. So this gap is going to open up again. So every time we think Trevor Bollinger might have him on the ropes, these boys from Connecticut are able to stretch it out again. Here he is. There is Trevor Bollinger. And was that Craig DeLong? Here is Craig DeLong. So this is the biggest gap we've seen all day, and it's still probably less than 3 seconds between those two.
Well, just to err on the side of caution and see how your mental stopwatch is working there, we got a 6.7 second gap. So
wow, that was longer than I had anticipated.
Run a little slower today. Maybe you need another cup of coffee or something.
I'm going to need a Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew, there you go.
I'm a little worn down after everything that's gone on.
But I mean,
so
I mean, honestly, though, you're right. 6 seconds, that's not a lot, especially when you take into consideration the caliber of riders that we have going at it right now. 6 seconds is just enough to stay out of the dust, I think, or the rock spray and mud spray. Wow, Josh Strang starting to open that gap up out here at mile marker number 3, Johnny Gallagher. Man on a mission, freight train's rolling, and looks like he has got that engine really pushing hard up front right now.
Yeah, and I believe that was still Thad Duvall in the second place spot, Caleb Russell in third. So those two are pushing hard. You would think with them feeding off of each other, they'd be able to possibly push each other up to try and close that gap. But right now, Josh Strang saying, boys, I'm pulling this one out. So as we're working on the completion of lap number 5, well, at the beginning of lap number 5, 3 miles in, we've got about another 5 miles till we see these guys checking in at the finish line. You know, it really does show us just how much these guys are really wanting to get out front, push it, make it happen. And we've seen 4 different leaders already at this point. We've seen Chris Bach out front early. Then it was Caleb Russell taking over. Then we saw Thad Duvall leading for a while. Now Josh Strang. And Josh Strang led for just a few moments earlier. So these guys are really swapping the lead around and really pushing the pace.
It's really making for a very exciting race here today to watch for sure. And it's going to do a lot of great things for the world of off-road racing. Here they come again. Look at this. Look how close they are.
So much for that gap that we had seen.
Wow.
Now they're all 1, 2, 3. There they are. Less than a second separating those guys. Just nose to tail, pushing it. Man, well, this is going to be some exciting action here out in this field, and here they come. We're sitting at the 4-mile marker. They're making that right-hander. They're out. They're on the backside. And here in about 10 seconds, we should see them rounding that AMSOIL banner. They're going to make that left, and we're going to see 3 riders on those big 450, 350 machines pushing it. Man, this is going to be some exciting action. We've already seen some riders laying on the ground. We hope we don't see that again, but if we're going to see it, it's going to be in conditions like this. Lappers in the mix. Josh Strang, hot on his heels. Thad Duvall, right on his heels. Caleb Russell, oh, look at that. Duvall gets a kick. We've got a lapper in the way that doesn't realize these guys are coming, and Thad Duvall really pushing it. Caleb Russell finds a little bit smoother line. All 3 of them in the same corner, wheel to wheel, Rodney.
That's pretty amazing stuff. These are the races that dreams are made of for any and everybody out there, especially, like we say, I keep saying it, us race fans. This is what we want to see. These are the types of battles. And amazingly, here we are, an hour and 47 minutes, almost 48 minutes, approaching 2 hours, and they're still racing at a very high intensity right now. These riders are spot on right now. And to tell you, this type of battle that we're seeing right now does nothing but translate good things for, I think, those of us that watch the GNCCs. And the reason is, it gives the confidence level to the 114 of Josh Strang and to Thad Duvall that they need to help elevate them and make them faster and keep them consistently faster. It also gives the fire and the drive for Caleb Russell to have to step it up a little bit more for those guys to try to achieve another level of, and that's only going to make each and every one of these guys better. And to watch this and to know that we're seeing this happen right now, wow, just think what we've seen through the first 6 rounds. What's it going to be like at the end of 13? This could be a pretty wild championship at Ironman.
Well, you know, Rodney, we always talk about momentum, you know, and we saw Josh Strang win in the first 2 rounds. Momentum certainly on his side. Then we saw Caleb Russell come out and win 3 in a row, so that put the momentum back on his side. Right now, with Josh Strang leading the way, is this a momentum swing, or does he need to get this one all the way to the finish before we even start talking about whether or not he can swing this? Because if Josh Strang can pull this win off, that would give these guys, although Caleb Russell would still retain the points lead based on the fact Josh has had some rough races.
He finished 10th at the last round.
Yep, he finishing 10 at that last round. That really hurt him in the points, but nonetheless, you have to believe that if he can pull this win off, that's a mental, not only a win and not only a points gain, but it's also the fact of he would have 3 wins to match the 3 wins of Caleb Russell and, spoiler, Thad Duvall.
Yeah, exactly. So pretty impressive stuff there. I'm really excited to see what this next hour and 10 minutes or so of racing is going to bring as we continue to watch. Let's check in with some of the other classes real quick. The XC1 Pro class, the top 10 are breaking down like this. Strang, Russell, Duvall, Ashburn, Bach, your top 5. Daniel Milner in 6. Stu Baylor is 7. Corey B. Buttrick is in the number 8 spot. Ricky Russell, old Rough and Rowdy himself, is 9th. And Scotty Grills rounding out the top 10. As we go to the Open A class, who yields our top overall amateur, at least there for the moment. And we check in with those riders right now to see how things are breaking down there. It is Benjamin Kelly. That's the XC2 Pro Lights. Let's go ahead and run those down for you. Benjamin Kelly, Trevor Bollinger, Craig DeLong, 1, 2, and 3. Jesse Grom in 4th. Josh Toth, 5th. Lane Michael, 6th. Austin Lee in 7th. Mike Witkowski, 8th. Vance Francis is 9th. And Mason Atherton is rounding out the top 10. Open A, Levi Keller, who is your overall top amateur leader right now out of Chillicothe, Ohio, leading the 397 of Tyler Soriano out of Yerkesville, Ohio. Walker, West Virginia, home of Brady Myers, the number 48, who is running 3rd. 44, Vincent Smith out of Nashville, Indiana, is 4th. And the 37 of Dylan Rash out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, rounds out your top 5 Open A riders. Zach Nolan, whom we saw there a lap or so ago, leading the top amateur overall with about a 23rd place position, has dropped back a little bit after time adjustment. Not saying that he can't make up for that lost ground, so we'll be keeping an eye on him out of Masontown, West Virginia, one of our youth prodigies from many, many years ago that is slowly making his way. He's actually gone kind of full-time work, kind of part-time racer, but good to see Zach out here and doing well in the 258 class. We may see that change with rides like what he's putting in right now. Evan Earl, the number 58, about 50 seconds back. He's out of Blacksburg, South Carolina. Chris Vendetti, the 36, out of Fort Mill, South Carolina, is 3rd. 309, Alex Teagard out of Waynesburg, PA, is 4th. And the 41 of Eric Douglas out of Martinsville, right here in the great state of Indiana, rounds out your top 5. Next class we take a look at will be our 250A class. Last year's top youth champion and the overall, it was Jesse Ansley. Well, Jesse is leading the 200A class aboard the 329 out of Mackay City, Florida. Jace Kopp, the 317 out of Mineral Wells, West Virginia, is 2nd. 3rd is Chase Hayes, the 722 from Sumter, South Carolina. Braden Moore, the 967, in 4th out of Una, West Virginia. In 5th place, the 613 Zachary Hugel out of Seneca, Pennsylvania. 4-stroke A lights class, Tristan Landrum leading Braxton McGee. Landrum out of Nelsonville, Ohio, in the 704. The 33 of Braxton McGee out of Bullville, North Carolina. 3rd place, the 35 of Hunter Shelton from Hartford, Tennessee. The 356, Dustin Simpson out of Mount Pleasant, North Carolina, is 4th. And 5th place, the 101, Connor Keegan from Cold Center, Pennsylvania. Gap on this one about 1 minute and 50 seconds between first and second. Actually, 2 minutes and 15 seconds between first and second. Sorry about that. Another 30 seconds back to third. So this four-stroke A lights class is rather separated as far as the top contenders in that class are concerned. So we take a look at the Junior AB. That's a 25-plus class. Joseph McCarty leading Lucas Towery. McCarty out of Montclair, West Virginia. Towery out of Lattimore, North Carolina. Charleston, West Virginia, home to Aaron Studer, the 619. In fourth place, 473, and Brandon Peterson from Albemarle, North Carolina, and Mason Stevens, 344 from Wayne, West Virginia, is running in the number 5 spot. Out Wayne, the OW. Bet A 30-plus class we take a look at next. And we see Joe Marsh, the 39, has moved into the number 1 spot and looks to be holding that quite handily with a 4-minute, 19-second lead over Ryan Inman. Jesse Arsenal is third place, the 62 is Coventry. Look at this on the screen as we take a look at this. We got Trevor Bollinger, I believe, and Craig DeLong right behind him. Folks, we've got ourselves another barn burner right here. So we watch, and now we wait to see where that Nick Davis checking in. No, I believe that may be Nick Davis checking in now, they're telling me. Or are we looking for Andrew or Craig DeLong, I guess that was, huh? Well, we're even looking at the possibilities of Lane Michael, I believe, but I think that could have been Craig DeLong. So we'll go with that at least for the moment until we get a better picture of that. But the gap was 33 seconds between Kelly and Bollinger. Now, nose to tail between those guys. And actually, I'm sorry, producer was trying to help me. That was for second and third behind Benjamin Kelly. They were 33 seconds back of there. So Craig DeLong has reeled in Bollinger and their nose to tail. And that very well could have been Jesse Grom that might have seen him back there. But to go looking at the gaps right now, 1 minute and 17 seconds is an awful lot to make up. And that could have been a lapped rider we were looking at, too. The muddy conditions are playing havoc with our eyes. We hate to make excuses, but, hey, sometimes it's hard to be perfect. Well, it is hard to be perfect, so not so sometimes about it. But anyway, these guys right here, about as close to perfect as you can be. And the perfectness of that is the fact that they're out GNCC racing like these guys here in some of these other classes we're taking looks at right now in our A-class division. The senior A40-plus class. That one is being led by Billy Schlag, the 418 from Mechanicsville, Maryland. The 60 of Shotgun Sean Remington out of New Salem, PA is second. Patrick Tobin, the 381, in third out of Fort Mill, South Carolina. Rob Brown, the 495, that is Moto Fro man out there out of Drury, Massachusetts. He's fourth place. Frank Tussle, the 186 out of Scotch Plains, New Jersey. So when you see the Moto Fro, the afro on top of the helmet there, you know that's Rob Brown, and right now he's running fourth place in the senior A40-plus class. New leader in XC2, Johnny Gallagher, is letting us in on, and I know that we saw that battle coming in there with the Craig DeLong and I believe it was Trevor Bollinger there for the number 2 spot. Well, we've got bigger changes than that, it sounds like.
Yeah, Benjamin Kelly now has dropped back to the 3rd place spot at the 4-mile marker. I just saw those guys. Trevor Bollinger leading the way right back on his rear wheel, number 11 of Craig DeLong. Those two, again, you could hold a slip of paper between DeLong's front wheel and Bollinger's rear with Benjamin Kelly back in the 3rd place spot. You know, these guys, these XC2 guys, they really hang it out. They really, you know, that XC2 class is full of young talent. These are guys that someday we'll certainly be seeing up on the podium in our XC1 class. And, you know, with 2 riders on that Coastal Husqvarna team, right now it's Craig DeLong who's in that 2nd place spot. You know, we had a chance to speak earlier with that team manager, Barry Hawk, about that XC2 class and the riders that they have there on board that Coastal team.
It's really interesting with Craig and Lane, Craig DeLong, Lane Michael. I guess the way at the beginning of the season, the way I looked at it is I had almost 2 riders that have tons of potential that almost, they can get to the same point, but they're getting their different directions because Craig's more of like a slow, I don't want to say slow, but he's more of a steady, doesn't really tend to hang it out, and he's going to be there at the finish, where Lane, sometimes Lane will hang it out and, has tons of speed. And that's something I tried to work with Lane on earlier in the year and tell him, it's almost like at times he needs to maybe tame it down a little bit and make sure he gets to the finish line, where Craig already, he tends to get to the finish line a little, I don't want to say easier, but you can always count on Craig being there. So, and Lane, it's finally paid off, and he got a win last race, and Craig ended up getting up on the podium. So, there's proof right there that Lane, he's got the speed to win. Craig, I think he's got a win coming here real soon. Something I've been working on with him is just his sprint speed. That's his biggest thing. Is he's fast. He picks good lines. He's a smart rider, but his sprint speed early in the race, it seems like he maybe loses it a little bit early on, and then late in the race he's typically one of the fastest riders late in the race. So if I can figure out how to get him to take that speed he has at the end of the race and work on it with it, get him to do that at the beginning of the race, then he's for sure going to get wins. So I have, like I said, got both riders in great positions. Lane finally got a win. His win's coming. So it's just great working with these young guys, and I was in their shoes years ago, and to be able to help them to reach a goal of theirs is it's satisfying for me to help them get what they want.
Ain't no better man than Barry Hawk to make that happen, I don't think, and help guide them in the right direction. Surely Johnny Gallagher, and he does. He's got himself a gold mine, I think, honestly, over there at the Coastal Racing team, and to be afforded that opportunity, I think Barry Hawk has grabbed the bull by the horns. He's doing a great job with it, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for that.
Yeah, what it holds for this guy right now is picking up his very heavy dirt bike, and the Shadow Monster strikes again. But, you said it, Rodney. I mean, he's got great talent over there under that Coastal Racing tent. And, with both of those riders having been on the podium multiple times already in 2016, Lane Michael grabbing that win just 2 weeks ago in South Carolina. I really got to say, today is something that I've never seen out of Craig DeLong. We've never seen him up there banging bars with Trevor Bollinger or the likes of that. When it was last year, it was Jason Thomas. And, in years past, Craig's been in that class a couple years now. He's always fast, like Barry said, late in the races, but typically we don't see him. Now we've reached the 2-hour mark. This is where we would normally see Craig start to make up ground and work his way from maybe, a position just barely inside the top 5 up to a podium place position. I think at one point in our last round, Craig was 13th pretty far into the race, and then he said, then I remembered, I'm not a 13th place rider, and he started pushing himself, got up there onto the podium. But with him being within striking distance, within inches of the seemingly, so far in 2016, unbeatable Trevor Bollinger, I got to say, I'm really excited to see what happens in these last few laps of racing.
The power of belief, man. When you believe in yourself and believe in what you're capable of and capable of doing, what you can accomplish is just amazing. And Craig DeLong, I believe, is a prime example of just that.
Well, let me tell you something else, and this is more of an observation. There's no factual information behind this, but you can tell a lot about a rider by their demeanor. When a rider's kind of hanging on by their fingertips, they're focused. You could be on the side of the trail, and look at this rider out front right now, Josh Strang leading the way. Still got those leaves wrapped around, I believe, that Lit Pro on top of his, taking a look down at his brake pedal. Not sure if he might have an issue there. Caleb Russell now into the second place spot, has worked his way around Thad Duvall. Duvall in third, and again, still a really small camping blanket. You could throw it right over the top of these three guys, and they're all in the same corner, all using that same inside rut. And, it's really going to be a game of cat and mouse. Now, I think we've seen the all-out sprint. All these guys know that they're not able to shake each other. So at this point, now it's going to start to be a game of lines. It's going to start to be a game of using lappers kind of as chess pieces in their little chess game that they're playing, trying to be the guy that's leading in just about 59 minutes here or slightly less when we see a checkered flag come out and fly. But real quick, just to finish up what I was saying about Craig DeLong and Trevor Bollinger, normally we would see a rider like that kind of hanging on by their fingertips, trying to chase down someone as fast as Bollinger. I was out in that field, clapping for both of those guys, both buddies, great guys. And I just kind of smiled at Craig and pointed at Trevor's rear wheel, and he just kind of looked at me and said, "Woohoo, this is fun."
Yeah.
So Craig DeLong seemingly pretty relaxed and really just having a good time out there right now. Trevor Bollinger looked to be the one who was more intent, more focused, more really just kind of turning himself inside out trying to get away. Now, if he's able to do it, it pays off. If not, he's expending all of that extra energy where Craig DeLong's just kind of out there riding around. These guys on VP Fuels Pro Road, Josh Strang, he's going to go make the pass right through the VP Fuels Pro pits. Caleb Russell also going through. Looks like Thad Duvall possibly slowing down. Are we going to get a stop out of Duvall at the end of the pits there? I don't know if Duvall is on the same pit sequence as we'll watch here. These guys will be working their way out. We'll see if Duvall is still with them, Rodney.
For sure, Johnny. And again, we are nearing the completion of lap number, 5 now. And we've got just over 2 hours and 3 minutes now into this race. Quite a bit of an investment, but still with an hour to go, this is where we start to see things shake loose. There's Josh Strang checks in with the 2 lap boards, so that means we've got 2 more laps to go in this one. Caleb Russell will check in the number 2 spot.
And so I'm assuming that means we did see Thad Duvall in the pits. Looks like he's got a drink hanging, and I'm assuming he got some fuel as well. So with 2 to go, you would have to believe that Thad Duvall does definitely have enough fuel to get to the finish. The question is, do Caleb Russell and Josh Strang have enough to make it, or are they going to have to make a stop in the VP Fuels Pro Row coming to the white flag in just one more lap?
That could be monumental for Thad Duvall if that be the case. I'm not sure like you, not sure their gas mileage or fuel mileage and stuff out there, but if Strang and Russell do have to stop again, it's certainly going to create a pretty interesting element. Obviously, Thad had a very quick pit stop on his as he is only 9.6 seconds back officially at the finish line. When they came through for the fifth lap or sixth lap complete, I guess it would have been, Josh Strang 2.8 seconds ahead of Caleb Russell. It looks maybe like it's tighter than that, Johnny. Whenever you look at that visually, 2.8 seconds, that seems like a lot to say, but when you see it translated on the track, it's not really a whole lot of distance between those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. 2.8 seconds at the speeds these guys are going, it equates to not more than, 15, 20 feet. And again, it just depends. Obviously, that's a slower section, so they're not covering as much ground. I can assure you that in some of these faster sections where they're comfortable running wheel to wheel, the gap between them is probably more like about 2.8 millimeters.
Yeah, you almost put a piece of paper through it between them or something like that, as they like to say. And right now, again, our leaders just checking in a moment ago. Strang, Russell, Duvall, 1, 2, and 3. And according to what I'm seeing, we still haven't seen fourth place.
There, Jordan Ashburn
there
just checked in the fourth place spot.
All right, so Jordan Ashburn now checking in the fourth place position. He's 1 minute and 43 seconds back. He had a 2 minute and 18 second lead over Chris Bach, which I got to say, fifth place is definitely a lot to be proud of and a lot to look forward to. But for Chris Bach right now, even him, that's a good place to be. But what is probably the troubling thing, and the thing that might be plaguing folks as far as the question is, why is there and how did there get to be a 2 minute and 18 second gap there, I guess. But that just goes to show you, it don't take much to get these guys separated.
Yeah, I think the track conditions obviously playing into that. I mean, we've seen these races have been really tight, like we're seeing with the top 3, but Ashburn lost, quite a bit of a gap there the last couple of laps once he got shook loose. So I think those guys up front have the best pace going right now, the best lines. And here we see Chris Bach now on the VP Fuels Pro Row. Looks like he's going to make a stop, get some fuel for that JCR Honda. This should be enough for him to make it to the finish. He's not taking any goggles, it doesn't appear. They've got a drink for him. It doesn't look like he wants that. He's off in pursuit, trying to reel in Jordan Ashburn, but it does not look as though he made up any ground that lap. I think we're still looking probably in that same 2 minute-ish range, possibly a little more. We'll see in just a few moments when he checks here at the completion of lap number 5 to start his way out on lap number 6. And, Rodney, I think the track conditions, as we talked about, they really are kind of, even if you look at the number of riders coming by on screen, things are really strewn about, not even just in our XC1 Pro class, but all throughout the field. Things are just bigger gaps between riders. Bach now working his way through the final 2 corners, making that right-hander, passing Ricky Towery with the 2-lap board out. And that gap at the end of lap number 5 is, looks like Chris Bach is now 1 minute 55 seconds behind Jordan Ashburn. So 2 minutes 18 at the end of lap number 4 and 1 minute 55 at the end of lap number 5. So he made up about 33 seconds on, 23 seconds on Ashburn, but with still 1 minute 55 to go, he's got to get moving if he wants to get up there and battle for that 4th place spot. Right now, Jordan Ashburn in no man's land, riding very well, was able to put in a great ride just a few weeks ago there at the Camp Coker GNCC to land himself on the podium, and then to come back and back it up with a 4th place ride so far here today. Jordan's really coming into his own with that Westfield Power Sports KTM team.
No doubt about that. And let's go ahead and look at some of these B classes now. We checked in with some of the A classes a few moments ago. Now we do the B classes. Open B is what we'll take a look at first. And that is Craig Daft leading that out of Elkins, West Virginia. 4 minute 46 second lead. Now, this is an interesting thing to talk about here in the Open B class. Some days whenever things are going well, they go very, very well. And things are going very well for Daft right now. As second place, the 812 of Zach Perry, who's from Myersdale, Pennsylvania, 4 minutes 46 seconds back. Also has a 4 minute 41 second gap and cushion there over third place ride, the 362 of Jacob Oliver out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. So those top 3 really separated by quite a bit of time. Then another minute back to the number 519 of Ryan McManus out of Nelsonville, Ohio. So that is your top 5. Daft, Perry, Oliver, Jordan, and McManus in the Open B class. As we look next, we see the 250B, Nick O'Brien out of Chillicothe, Ohio. Eli Cradleball out of Laurelville, Ohio, another hot spot, if you will. Both Chillicothe and Laurelville not too far from each other. Actually, Laurelville, the home of the world-famous Laurelville cider, if you've ever had any of that good stuff. Matthew Donahue out of North Tonawanda, New York. The 172 is third. Cody Aleph, the 713, is fourth out of Martinville, Indiana. And Fairmont, West Virginia is home to James Harshberger, who rides on board the 144 machine in that 250B class. Watching out near the 3 mile marker, we'll let you know when those leaders are coming by. I believe that's them right now. That is actually them. That was the 114 of Josh Strang. Happened to look right up at the right time. And still no change there with, it looked like Russell, followed by, not far behind at all, Thad Duvall. So that 9-second gap is basically back, if I saw that right, right back to nose to tail to nose to tail. So 250. Going to look at the timing and scoring right now at some of the stuff going on in the XC2 Pro Lights class, as Craig DeLong just checked in with the lead, 1.7 seconds over Trevor Bollinger, and he did get around Harwinton, Connecticut's Benjamin Kelly. Kelly has yet to check in for his 6th lap complete. So we can see that this third hour is certainly going to start taking its toll on possibly our Connecticut riders there. That's a tough break and a heartbreaker for them and him, Benjamin Kelly in particular, but good building points for these riders at the same time that afford them the opportunity to have a plan to attack heading into the next couple of weeks approaching the John Penton GNCC. Alrighty, back to some of these B classes now. We talked about the open. Well, that's the Open A stuff there. All right, we're getting ready to see them at the 4 mile marker. Then we'll check in some more of these Open B classes. And wheel to wheel, nose to tail as they come in. This right here might be an opportunity to afford some passes. We've seen those types of things happen. We've seen guys go down because of the conditions. And if you're taking a look at this track, look at it what it looks like now as opposed to 2 hours ago. It's getting dusty now. It's a little more smoothed out, not nearly as bad. It's still pretty choppy, don't get me wrong, but these guys are certainly looking at a little different conditions than what they were 2 hours ago, and they are putting on a show for the race fans. They make their way through the 4 mile marker section now. Russell is right there, breathing down the, well, you might as well say inhaling the exhaust fumes of what The 114 are spitting out right now, and it looks like, whoa, Caleb getting a little bit swapped out there, nearly going down, but he's able to salvage that. We'll see a little bit of breathing room open up for the 114 machine. It's likely not going to be enough to really separate the scenario and situation by a whole lot, but it goes to show you those little mistakes, they can be costly, and these final closing laps, if you can ride with the least amount of mistakes, it can oftentimes bring you into higher and greater places. Now, the Open B class, Daft, Perry, Oliver, Jordan, and McManus, as we were talking there a few moments ago, the big gaps they had going on there. So we look next at the 250B, Nick O'Brien, Eli Cradlebaugh. Actually, Cradlebaugh hasn't checked in for lap 5 complete. He was 7 minutes behind O'Brien at the end of lap 1. Matthew Donahue, 172 from North Tunnel 1 to New York. Third, Cody Aliff, the 713 out of Martinsville, Indiana, is fourth, and James Harshberger, the 144, is out of Fairmont, West Virginia. Taking a look next where the 200B class is rolling now. Cash Jacobs out of Sarasota, Florida. A 4-minute, 20-second lead over the 311 of Teague Securo from Fairmont, West Virginia. Nathan Davis, the number 463 out of Vail, North Carolina, one of the top starters out there, is running third right now. 357, Johnny Manera out of Millville, New Jersey, who I think got the whole shot in this class, is back to fourth. Nathan Pinkerton out of Londonderry, Ohio, the 375, rounds out the top 5. From the 200B class, we go next to the 4-stroke B lights class. Colton Cup, the number 91 out of Morgantown, West Virginia, leading Justin Murphy, the number 97 from Morgantown, West Virginia. Jason Lipscomb, the 700, is third out of Parkersburg, West Virginia. And Troy Lieberman out of Columbus, North Carolina, rounds out fourth place. And then in fifth place, Brendan Poling from Grafton, West Virginia, on the 258 machine. Vet B30 Plus class, Scott Dallin leading Mike Barber. Dallin out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, with only an 8-second lead over Mike Barber. And looking at the adjusted times, or looking at the lap times, a 37 and a half minute lap time for Mike Barber, and it looks like 38:45 for Scott Dallin. So I'm thinking that maybe we're seeing that gap close up quite a bit. It was bigger than that. You look at the gap, it was about probably about 50 seconds difference, 45-second difference in their lap times. Dallin was the one that pulled the 38, he turned the 38:45, 37:50 there for Mike Barber, so he closed that gap up to 8.6 seconds. It could get a lot more intense for second in the Vet B class as Sean Morris out of Waynesburg, PA, in third aboard the 127. Kevin Young out of Bucktown, Ohio, 198 is fourth. Larry Hopper, the 106 out of Tarentum, Pennsylvania, rounds out your top 5. Now again, 8.6 seconds. Dallin turned a 38:45 last time around, 37:51 for Mike Barber, who's only 8 seconds behind. In theory, we should have a new leader in the Vet B class in about 27 minutes when they come around again. Senior B class, David Galliano from Weston, West Virginia, 2-minute, 27-second lead over Christian Brumbaugh, 377 from Williamsburg, PA. Knoxville, Tennessee, home to Devin Ferguson, the 104. In fourth place, 931, Darren Darmos out of Amherst, Ohio. In fifth spot, Tim Healy, the 361. And that's going to take a look at all of our classes. So look at all those classes, and we'll be continuing to watch with bated breath here on lap 6. I believe this is actually lap 7 we're looking at right now. They've completed lap 6, but technically I see where the guys are looking at. We had about a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile first lap before those guys went in, so that makes a lot of sense why we are calling this lap 6. So we'll stick with that. Even though on scoring and timing, if you're watching and it's showing a little different, we know what's going on and we're getting the right information to you. Wow, 2 hours and 15 minutes into this race already. And actually, it's a little further than that. It's 2 hours and 16 and a half minutes. And the final hour, as we always like to say, is what really sets the stage for the excitement and the drama that certainly unfolds. And today, with the way these riders are running nose to tail, the drama should be thick. And when we come back, we'll pick up on the action. Can Josh String continue to lead, take this one home, and take it, make it 3 wins in 2016, or will Caleb Russell play spoiler? Or how about a new face in the center of the box today? What about Thad Duvall? He's right there in the hunt. We'll be back with more on GNCC Live right after this.
Maxxis Tires.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATV MC, our goal has always been to get you the best price and provide quality service. Now, we're giving you one more reason to shop with Rocky Mountain. We call it Quick Cash. It's simple to get. Just place an order with a qualifying Quick Cash item and get cash to spend on your next order. Try it out today. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
The Andersons discovered life is easier with an Outlaw RV. The Outlaw is a complete home on wheels with a multifunctional garage. Getting on the road has never been quicker. The Outlaw is made to fit the lifestyle of today's active families. So stop roughing it and start enjoying your weekends. Find the Thor Motor Coach Outlaw that fits your needs at GarageRVs.com today.
I'm a sore loser. I'm a sore loser.
Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best?
The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why
I only use
Cometic products in my engines. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher as we catch our breath and refresh ourselves for this last 40-minute push right now, Johnny Gallagher. And just to let you know, Trevor Bollinger out front of Craig DeLong at the 4-mile marker is one of the last things that we got word on out there. And the battle still wages on between our top 3 of String, Russell, and Duvall. So the stage is set certainly for 2 great finishes, it looks like, here today.
Yeah, absolutely. And that rider we saw on screen, I believe, was the 206, and that is Josh Toth, who is still back there in the 4th place spot in that XC2 class. So it was Craig DeLong leading the way, Trevor Bollinger 2nd, Benjamin Kelly 3rd, and Josh Toth. So Josh Toth had dropped back outside the top 5, now back into the 4th place spot. So a heck of a ride for those two. We were saying early whether or not those 2 guys could continue the pace that they had. And although they've been passed by Bollinger and DeLong, it seems as though they've still really put in some impressive rides here today in Indiana.
They have, and I think it steps in the right direction. They're good confidence boosters, and they're good gauges for those riders if they're really considering maybe making this a full-time gig for themselves. If they come here and can ride consistently in the top 5 or a solid top 10 in the XC2 Pro Am class or Pro Lights class, that's a good gauge to work with, and that tells you that they're making the right steps and the right moves, quite possibly.
You know, Rodney, and we talked about a little bit earlier off camera, you know, Benjamin Kelly, who is currently our 3rd place rider, he has done a 4th place ride, we believe, 2 weeks ago, and now he's back to doing it again here today, but possibly a 3rd place ride for a podium. And, you know, a lot of people at home in Connecticut, I'm sure, watching these guys do their thing and out there running 3rd and 4th place right now in our XC2 class. And you got to wonder if those people are maybe hashtagging how they GNCC Live. Well, here's 2 more people that have. Rodney, why don't you tell us a little bit about these here?
Yeah, well, we got looks like Stray House 76 is Flathead Pete, hashtag Flathead Pete, whatever that is. Stopped by the house today to watch a little hashtag GNCC Live. That's his buddy. He's inviting him over, but he's out on the tractor right now. Looks like driving down the side of the road in a tractor, as a matter of fact.
Well, I could be wrong, but I believe Flathead Pete refers to the tractor that he's driving. I know some of those old tractors, they call them flathead engines.
Yes.
I'm out on a limb here. This isn't my this isn't my forte, but I believe he's referring to the tractor. And you can actually see there's a little play button there. Yep. So if you go to his Instagram, that is a video. So if you go, head over to StrayHouse76's Instagram, and you can see a video of just how he watches hashtag GNCC Live.
Jesse Brin is watching with his grandpa, it looks like, watching the race with Paul Fred, cheering on at Jay Ashburn at Limestone today, and looks like they're all geared up. Man, he looks pretty intent on watching that. How you doing, Grandpa Fred? And glad to see you tuned in to GNCC Live.
Yeah, and Jesse Brin, you know, it just goes to show we've obviously we know we've got fans of all ages and genders, and Jesse Brin there, like you said, at home with her grandpa watching. So a family bonding moment, you know, for those two, and they're watching some GNCC
Live.
Like
he was studying that. You know, he had his hand up on his chin, like, all right. Maybe he was looking at that field and saying, man, that looks like some pretty good dirt.
Or was he considering coming out and running our Golden Masters class that we have at the 10 a.m. race?
No doubt. He could go out and maybe, yeah, exactly, race with some of those guys. That would be pretty cool. And if you, that's the great thing about GNCC. We can pass that along. Anybody watching, you watch this, there's a class for everybody. There's Leighton Michael making his way around now. A rider that really had some good things going on in the early part of the race, Johnny, and as this race has progressed after those early struggles he had, he is still running back at about the 6th place position. He's 1 minute and 21 seconds out of 5th behind Chessie Crum right now.
Yeah, you know, and those are the two riders that, as we talked about, ran 1-2 all day in South Carolina. Ultimately, with Grom having those issues at the end of the race there, did allow Craig DeLong to sneak up into that 2nd place spot and Nick Davis into the 3rd place spot. But it seemed to be DeLong and Grom and Michael that were up there up front all day. Ironic today to see them back in that 5th and 6th place spot. So everything that went right for them 2 weeks ago in the mud and wet conditions of South Carolina, obviously, you know, still solid rides there in the 5th and 6th place spot, salvaging some good championship points. But I can assure you, neither of those two guys came in here today hoping for a top 5 or 6 ride. But let me tell you, Josh Strang came in here today hoping for a win, and right now he's getting it done. As our producer noticed, there is no goggles on the number 114 machine. Thad Duvall now into the 2nd place ride. Caleb Russell taking a look over, looking at those two, and Rodney, where's that blanket we keep talking about?
I know. I liked how you said it, a small camping blanket, actually. I mean,
yeah, we're not talking about a big beach blanket here. We're talking about a little blanket like an airplane blanket.
Exactly.
For anybody that's ever had one of those airplane blankets, they're just larger than your average McDonald's napkin, and you could throw it over top of all 3 of these guys. You know, we noted there, Josh Strang did not make a fuel stop last lap. Neither did Caleb Russell. Thad Duvall did. If those two have to stop, which we're going to have to assume Josh Strang has no choice but to stop for goggles. He has no goggles on, as we just noted in that shot. Josh Strang going to have to make a stop in the VP Fuels Pro Row, even if it is just for goggles. Rodney, can he make that goggle stop quick enough to not get past?
Well, one thing he's going to have to do in order to make that happen is put a little bit more of a gap over the 2nd place ride of Thad Duvall and 3rd place ride of Caleb Russell. Is it possible? Yes. Likelihood of that, though, is very slim if you take a look into what has been happening anytime that we've seen these riders stretched out leading into that section of the racetrack. They always seem to come out of that into the pro pits pretty much tightened back up.
I don't see a fuel jug here, but I do see goggles. They're not going to fuel him. Here he goes. Thad Duvall goes by for the lead. Caleb Russell doesn't quite make the pass. He's going to be right next to him.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Oh, yeah. He makes the pass. Strang runs it up on the inside. Russell into the 2nd place spot. So Thad Duvall now out front as we watch. They're around the corner. There is Duvall. He's around the corner heading up the auxiliary fuel area there. Caleb Russell in 2nd. Josh Strang in 3rd. Boy, these guys are charging hard, Rodney. They're coming around. They're heading into that final wood section before the finish line.
Oh, wow. So the intensity is really starting to build as we roll toward the white flag now. New leader, it is the number 5 of Bad Thad Duvall. 1 lap to go, and that pit stop the lap before may be the saving grace for this rider, Thad Duvall, in possibly taking the win. The biggest obstacle he's going to be faced with right now is rolling up on his rear wheel in the form of a defending GNCC champion by the name of Caleb Russell. Russell is going to be tough to beat. We've seen the speeds that he has shown throughout the races and on the last laps traditionally so far this year, but we got to say we can throw tradition out as far as that is concerned here today, because we have seen a whole new race develop as far as the XC1 Pro Bikes class is concerned.
You know, Rodney, I gotta say here, you know, there's so many thoughts that go through your head when you're watching this action. You're trying to call it out. You're trying to relay it to the people at home. Last lap when we saw Thad Duvall stop, I thought to myself, boy, I think Caleb and Josh are going to have to stop next lap, because we thought that they needed to stop one more time. And I was thinking Thad really needs to push it this lap. And if he can, I mean, those are two of the fastest riders in the world right now, even though it's only a couple seconds. 9 seconds, I believe, is what he was behind the second place of Caleb Russell last lap. He was able to bridge that gap. Not only that, he took over the lead without them even stopping. He passed Caleb Russell out there somewhere, was able to work his way into that second place spot. Josh Strang did have to stop for goggles, but again, that wasn't a scheduled fuel stop. You can see his crew had the towels waving. They thought they were sending him right on through. He had no choice. He had to come in, make the stop, and he had to get those fresh goggles. There we see Alex Teagarden being towed past our RacerTV studios. Unfortunate for him, a rider that's won many top amateur overalls this year and been a contender.
All right, we got an update coming in on Channel 2. Stand by, guys. All right, go ahead, update. All right, we just got the update. Our producer tells us that the update that came in is that Josh Strang fell and Caleb Russell, no, vice versa.
Yep. Caleb Russell did go down. Josh Strang got around and took over the second place spot. So you know when these guys are hitting the deck as often as they have today, they are really pushing the pace.
Well, that talks. I haven't seen it either. Well, I mean, you know, that interview that we did with Caleb Russell, he says it's inevitable, you know, and especially on days like today with the conditions the way that they are, that it's inevitable you're going to go down and go down a lot. But man, we haven't seen it play as much of a role in the racing thus far, at least for Caleb or any of these top three guys that we're watching right now, except for maybe Thad Duvall. But he's been able this race to really come back from any. I mean, look at. You remember the hard crash that he took out there in the early part of the race, got back up and was right back into the thick of things. Within a half a lap, only a couple of miles, he was right back into it. So today's race has really given us a whole new level of excitement, I think, from a spectator standpoint. What's it going to do to the championship? The points aren't going to get mixed up a whole lot, but what it is going to do, heading into Ohio, heading into New York to the Tomahawk, and then heading into the Snowshoe, is going to, I think, give a lot of folks some confidence level, and it's going to make Caleb Russell's job of hanging on to that #1 plate and taking race wins a little more difficult. Not impossible, obviously, but it's going to be a little tougher. But it's also going to make him mad. He's going to work a lot harder for the next round.
Absolutely. You know, with so many dynamics in this championship battle, and within this battle for the race win, you know, with Thad Duvall right now leading the way, you know, Thad Duvall, again, we talked about earlier, due to some setbacks earlier in this season, he's a good ways behind in the points. No quicker way to make up points when you're thinking about championship points than to win races. But the key, again, is Thad Duvall just trying to win races where, you know, Josh Strang, Caleb Russell being 1-2 in the points. You have to wonder, a guy like Duvall, who isn't really at this moment maybe factoring into the championship point standings, barring some kind of major setback for those two, you know, he's a considerable amount of points behind, but he really has nothing to lose. He's going for the race win today, and that's all he's thinking about. He's not thinking, you know, I can assure you Josh Strang and Caleb Russell are right now not thinking about being conservative, but at some point, if Thad Duvall, who's known to have world-class speed, if he can push this pace this last lap hard enough that Caleb Russell's already hit the deck, Josh Strang, if he would have a similar circumstance, you have to wonder at what point do these guys say, hey, man, this guy's on a mission today. You know, I'm going to push it as hard as I can safely, but I can't keep hitting the ground like I am.
No, yeah, you're right, and it's going to be tough. And something else I'm thinking about here, and I know I'm looking a little farther ahead and stuff, but what about this? I mean, we got half of our ISDE team in Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell up front, and Australia's 1/4 of their ISDE team battling it out right now here today at this GNCC event. That's pretty exciting, I think, when you look at the grand scheme of things right now. I mean, you're right, world-class talent right here today before our very eyes.
Absolutely. You know, these guys are they're some of the best athletes in the world on motorcycles, and you know what these guys can do with their dirt bikes is just unimaginable to a normal human being like me. You know, but to go out and to do that at the speed they're doing it, you know, be able to make those little mistakes, like, you know, as Caleb said in that interview there, you know, they're going to happen, they're inevitable. To be able to to go ahead and say, okay, well, I was riding at 100%, just to run this pace and to run with these guys. I hit the deck. Now I need to ride at 110 or 120%. We joke about that, but at the same time, sometimes what can happen in those situations is even when you think you're going as fast as you could humanly possibly go, when you have the desire to win that Thad Duvall has, that Caleb Russell has, that Josh Strang has, you find a way to go faster. It's not possible. The machine's not capable of it, but somehow you find a way to make it happen, and that's what we've seen today. Every time one of these guys ups the bar, every time one of them says, nope, this is it, I'm going to go faster than you, instead of falling into a pace and saying, man, that guy's going really fast, no matter who it is at the front, we've seen the guys in second and third, whether it's Russell and Strang or whether it's Duvall and Russell, whoever it is that's been in those 2 and 3 spots has consistently stepped their game up and closed the gap up to that leader, whoever it might be.
Well, as we roll toward the finish line here on the final lap of racing, we are some 17 minutes out, and we'll probably be looking at a checker flag about then. Who will it be? Will it be?
Here it is, Josh Strang leading the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Rodney. Strang leading the way. Look at this, Russell with the bobble. Duvall back into third, so we've seen quite the shakeup. We heard Caleb Russell went down. Now he's back into that second place spot. Strang leading the way. All those leaves still on his head. And Duvall now back to the third place spot. These guys are swapping paint hot and heavy.
No doubt about that, Johnny. And again, it's just too bad we can't follow these guys around all the way around this racetrack.
How about it? Wouldn't that be great if we could see this battle the whole way around? Because I can promise you, you would see a whole lot of action.
I think we would stroke out if you want to know the truth.
You and I couldn't take it, Rodney. We're both getting old. Well, I am anyway. You're still a young man, but at my age, you can't be having that kind of excitement. My voice is already taxed out from what we've seen just with these guys battling and the effort that they're putting forth. And I've always been a fan of GNCC racing, but on days like today, if you're not a fan of GNCC racing, I'll go out and say there's something wrong with you, because this is some exciting stuff. Those of you at home, call your friends, call your neighbors, hide your wives, whatever it takes, because there's some action going down on GNCC Live on RacerTV. Get in there, get that telephone turned on, get to RacerTV, watch this last lap of action, because although we've seen, oh, look at this, Strang clips a lapped rider, and now Caleb Russell right onto the back of him. Thad Duvall still lurking back there in the third place spot. Look at him. There's Chad Duvall, multi-time GNCC winner on the ATV side himself, giving Thad a little bit of advice, and I think it was something along the lines of, hey, pass those two guys in front of you, and you win.
There you go. And that's probably exactly what he's thinking. That's what his mindset is right now. And real quick, while we roll toward the finish line here, like we said, we're less than 17 minutes now, approaching 16 minutes. And here they're going to be coming out this 4-mile marker, and they're going to be swapping back and forth. Real quick, I do want to talk about the top amateurs right now. We do have the 250A class leaders back in it, and here it comes.
Here it is, Josh Strang out front, Caleb Russell in second, Thad Duvall in third, and again, these guys so close together. Caleb really pushes it into that rut. You can see he loses the front end just a little bit, loses a couple of bike lengths to Strang there. You can see these machines dancing all over the place underneath them. Strang into the right-hander. Strang's back end kicking out. Caleb Russell hard on the gas. You can see that machine just soaking up those bumps. These guys are pushing so hard right now, Rodney. Caleb wanting to get up there to put some pressure on Josh. Almost looked as though Josh had ditched those goggles again. Could be wrong, but I did not see them in that shot. Thad Duvall back there just lurking. He's hoping these two get together and make this easy for him, but if not, Bad Thad's going to do whatever it takes to try and push his way to the front, even if he's got to just get a little bit whiskey.
Absolutely, and as we were saying there a moment ago about the top amateurs, 250A has moved into the top spot. Zach Nolan was earlier leading, then he dropped out of that, where Levi Keller from the Open A class took over top amateur overall honors for the moment. Well, as we look at it now, Zach Nolan and Evan Earl, 250A class riders, running 22nd and 23rd overall. Evan Earl's Levi Keller's 24th overall. We got a battle going on for the top amateur. Back on the racetrack out here, though, Johnny, we got a big battle there too.
Well, I can update you a little bit on that top amateur, because unfortunately what we just saw on screen, the rider that fell over and Josh Strang clipped a little bit was Zach Nolan. So he's gone a lap down now, which means he is no longer our top amateur rider. Don't know what happened there. Don't know if he ran into some struggles at the completion of lap number 6 there. It's showing that he was, and this is a 7-lap race, so he was physically, so now we see 7th place. Zach Nolan just came by the 3-mile marker there on screen, and that means he went a lap down. So I can tell you there's pretty well no way that he is still our top amateur rider, unless they've lapped all the way up to 20th overall, which I find to be very unlikely.
Wow. Wouldn't that, I mean, has that ever happened? I don't know that I've ever seen anything like that ever happen in GNCC, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. Who knows? We'll wait and see. These guys will check in here soon, but you know, these guys are, man, the pace here is toward, maybe it's possible with, you know, with a 7-lap race.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to lap all the way up into the top 20 overall.
Thad Duvall leads Caleb Russell, and actually it's Josh Strang leads Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell. They keep swapping back and forth. It's actually Russell in second, Duvall in third. Jordan Ashburn still hanging out back there in the number 4 spot with Chris Bach in fifth. Trevor Bollinger all the way up to 6th place in this overall. 2 hours and 38 minutes into this race, and GNCC Live continues after this.
Texas Tires.
Program implemented by the management that
CST Tires.
You smell it, you feel it, you can taste it in the air. Speed, man. Full wide open. Blast. I didn't really like high school too much. Too booky, too take notes, learn this, and that's it. Yeah, WildTech, they have full-size motorcycles. The feeling of taking them apart every day, putting them back together. You can't explain it. Everything I learned applies to now. Seeing your motorcycle that you put together right around the track at 180 miles an hour, oh, definitely rewarding. My name is Mike. My school's WildTech.
Get on the fast track to a career. Turn pro at WildTech.
I've been with Liat for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
And welcome back to GNCC Live from Springville, Indiana, as we run the Limestone 100 GNCC. Moments away from the finish line, but on Friday, GNCC crew had a chance to head on over with some of the local heroes. You see Kendall LaFollette there off the Austin lead, made their way there. As well, one of our WXC riders. We saw Sadie Welch, Charlie Welch, with a couple of ATV racers from around the Indiana area, all having a great opportunity to go to the Springville Hornets School, where the Hornets got a first-hand look at, an up-close look at some of the things that they were going to be able to see here in Limestone this weekend. Of course, lots of contests, and most importantly, great positive reinforcement that these riders bring to these school visits. And you can see from the smiles on all the folks' faces there that it's always a good time, not only for the students, but also for the staff and the individuals that happen to make their way to these particular school visits. And, you know, Matt Watson, Megawatt, is one of the key individuals this year in helping make that happen and pull that off. And, you know, Matt has really become quite adept to that particular program and has fallen in love, I guess you could say, in a sense of being able to actually take these types of positive things out to these local neighborhoods whenever we come to town.
The main goal with the program is to really make awareness about bullying, and it's a great problem around the country. And each and every one of the schools we go to is something that we like to address, and we have programs that involve teamwork and bullying exercises. And it's really a blessing to each and every one of the staff members that goes and participates. And I think that it's a genuine program implemented by the management that we really believe in, and it's a blessing to everybody involved. Man, I tell you, that's a split right now. Who gets more out of it, us or the riders? We went to Clear Creek Christian Academy this weekend, and as we walked in, the kids are singing "Nothing Is Impossible," and they're dancing and waving their hands. So the next thing you know, we have Austin Lee and Sadie and all the riders up there singing and dancing with the kids. So it's an amazing feeling, and I have to be honest with you, I'm not so sure that we don't get more out of it than the kids do.
And, you know, I've talked with Megawatt about that, and each time he comes back, man, he's always inspired, re-inspired after every school visit. So good that this program is working so well and helping those students out and introducing them to an alternate lifestyle that is very positive in that respect as well. Right now, it is that, actually our top three, Josh Strang, Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall at last check, when we last saw those riders check in here, about the midway point of this final lap of racing right now. Ashburn and Bach back there. Bollinger and DeLong running 6th and 7th overall. Benjamin Kelly, who is the Harwinton, Connecticut rider that is taking the XC2 class by surprise, along with his fellow Connecticut rider there, Josh Toth. They are running in the 3rd and 4th place positions of the class. They're 8th and 9th overall. Stu Baylor, who would be 6th in the XC1 Pro class, is now 10th place in the overalls. And as we pointed out there a few moments ago, we saw that according to timing and scoring that Zach Nolan was leading the top amateur overall, but we believe that we saw him also being lapped out there on the race course this lap, which might indicate that the 721 fell into some struggles and some problems as he motored his way home towards trying to capture another one of those top amateur awards here in the 2016 season. Right now, though, we are less than 13 minutes. I'm going to say 6 minutes. Wow, we're a lot closer than I even realized. 2 hours and 44 minutes into this race now. And a barn burner it is. Everything that anyone would have ever hoped for, wished for, and wanted from a spectator standpoint has certainly come to pass here at the Limestone 100 GNCC. As we check in with our XC2 Pro Lights leader, there's Trevor Bollinger making his way around now. He is your 6th place overall rider as he makes his way through the field section. And we talked about how rough the section is with the racing bumps that we're developing here. And they have developed even more since the first couple of laps of racing, and now some 2.5 hours later, they have really made quite a bit of a race pace, and they are certainly, I think, keeping this race very interesting. There is Craig DeLong, the number 11. He is 7th overall. He's 2nd in the XC2 Pro Lights class right now, and behind him, about 46 seconds, we should expect to see Benjamin Kelly, and only 2 seconds off that pace was Josh Toth. So with the two Connecticut riders are actually battling for the final podium spot right now as we speak, and we should be seeing them come into sight here in just a moment, and then we'll be able to catch up the action at the finish line there with the pros, I think. But here comes your 3rd place ride, and I'm thinking that is still the Benjamin Kelly, the 530 there, if I'm not mistaken. I don't see Josh Toth there close in tow, as it said or showed on the timing and scoring screen there a few moments ago. But regardless, these guys have put down a spectacular ride here today at the Limestone. They have put themselves on the radar as far as the XC2 Pro Lights class is concerned. And yes, my friends, we see it, we recognize it. Benjamin Kelly and Josh Toth are bringing Connecticut to the map of the GNCC Racing Nation. 2 hours and now 46 minutes into this race as we wait patiently to see how this will all unfold. If those of us that were thinking that this was a game of cat and mouse in the early part of the race, that maybe Caleb Russell was playing with the riders out there, may be starting to think a little bit different about that and start to think that, hey, maybe it's just the conditions warrant that. And both, another thing to think about is that the riders are stepping their levels up in trying to chase the number 1 of Caleb Russell in this championship points race for 2016. There's Daniel Milner going by now. That is the 31 machine. He is 10th in the overall, according to timing and scoring right now, what we see now, and that would put him, I guess, actually he would be 6th place in that class. I do not know what happened to Stu Baylor. He has dropped down now. We haven't seen him check in for lap 7 complete yet, so he's all the way back to at least 17th place spot. So tough break there for Stu Baylor when he seems like he's got things rolling in his favor. And something comes out and, well, reminds him that, hey, you're still having some struggles right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Stu was had reeled in Daniel Milner there just a lap ago. We know he was up in that 6th place spot early. Here we see it looks to be Ricky Russell. So now maybe he's taken over that 7th place spot in the XC1 class. Looks to be just under maybe give or take 45 seconds to a minute behind Daniel Milner. If we look at our timing and scoring there, it does appear Ricky Russell was a minute 29 behind Daniel Milner. I can tell you that's not a minute 29 right there, Rodney. So Ricky Russell charging hard here. Looks like he's wanting to take off after that 6th place ride of Milner. Takes a look over his shoulder to see, hey, anybody coming behind me, because I got an Australian I'm trying to track down.
There you go. And, you know, talk to him before the races today in the pre-race.
Is that
interview.
Baylor there?
I believe it is.
That is Stu Baylor. So he did check in. No, that's Corey Buttrick. There we go. They got us again. They get us every time with that. So Corey Buttrick now is Corey Buttrick. He is 13th place overall, so quietly been pitting in a good ride today. So that puts him in the 8th place spot in XC1. A solid ride for him. And boy, he and Baylor could really do stunt doubles for each other if they wanted to. Look at this right now. Here it is. Josh Strang into the final reaches of this one here today at the 7-mile marker. He's out with the lead. Second place there is Caleb Russell. I do not see Thad Duvall in that shot. So is this going to be a 2-rider duel down to the finish? Strang leading the way. Russell in second. That is not Thad Duvall there. There is Thad Duvall. So still in third, just a few seconds behind. Right now, it looks like maybe the gap has opened up just a little bit between those front two and Duvall. But they've still got some Woods racing action. Just a couple here. Boy, we're going to see him at the finish line in less than a minute here, Rodney.
You're absolutely right. And here's the thing to point out about this section of the racetrack. For somehow or reason or another, it has cast its own shadow monsters out there. And we've seen races tighten up. We've seen the position swap and change quite a bit out there.
Well, they made it past the shadow monster so far. So I don't think he's going to be a factor. But I did hear he has a cousin, and he's called the Tree Monster. So if he's going to jump up and grab one of these guys, this is where it's going to happen. Unfortunately, we're just not going to get to see. We're just going to have to speculate. Right now, let's assume that Thad Duvall, those guys caught a lapper. Thad Duvall is now up onto the rear wheel of Caleb Russell. These guys are battling over the lead. And what we see right here is one of our other riders, Mike Witkowski, on screen. But what we can't see is these guys that are leading this thing right now. They should be coming out of VP Fuels Pro Road.
Here they are. Well,
inside of 30 seconds from now. That's Chris Douglas. He's one of our lapped riders.
So there's the towel. There they
there it is. Caleb Russell's taking over the lead. Caleb Russell leading the way. Josh Strang in second. Just a few corners to go. Thad Duvall should be coming by here just any moment. We still don't see Duvall. There is Duvall. Nope. That is not Duvall. There's Duvall. Duvall in third. Caleb Russell is now stretched out just a little bit over Josh Strang. He's got about a 5-bike length lead. They make a right-hander. They go into this last wood section. These lapped riders looking back, they know the freight train is coming. The freight train right now in second place. Caleb Russell leading the way. Rodney, help me out here. Here they come. Caleb Russell, 2 turns to go. Oh, look at this. Strang makes the last charge. Caleb Russell takes the win, and Josh Strang in second.
Wow, what a race. Definitely worth the price of admission. 2 days in a row, my friends.
And what a race for this guy. Thad Duvall, third place.
Yes.
Oh, man, what an absolute barn burner that was.
Man, I tell you, this right here is one for the history books. There's no doubt about it. This is one that we will remember for a long, long time when it comes down to thinking about Limestone 100. The year number 5, bringing us this type of battles, man. I mean, we never would have guessed this coming into this race this weekend. You can only hope for these types of scenarios, Johnny, to actually formulate and break down. When we saw this one developing early in the race, I have to admit, I really thought by the second, when we headed into the third hour, we were going to see things start to really change quite a bit and start to lengthen out and stretch out. But that was not the case. It only got more intense and more, the battle only tightened up as we rolled through the last hour, and we saw the intensity reach fever pitch as Caleb Russell, in those closing moments, was able to get around the 114 of Josh Strang and take it to the checkers. You saw Josh trying to stick that wheel in there in the last couple of turns.
Look at this. This is where we saw the drama unfold yesterday. Caleb Russell absolutely charging right through the finish line. And watch this.
A ghost ride for
across the finish line. He wins it. Panic rev. Here it comes. Fist pump. He knows he worked hard for that one. Strang can't hold his. Look at this. Watch this. Caleb Russell says, later, you did your job. I've had enough. I won this thing. That really shows the emotion right there.
It does.
That came down to the final quarters. No matter who you're a fan of, that was awesome racing.
That was awesome racing, and it goes to show you that Caleb Russell actually must have really had a lot of fun, and that win really meant a lot to Caleb because you don't normally see him celebrate like that. That's not a celebration that Caleb Russell is normally accustomed to, but that right there warranted that type of celebration, I believe.
Absolutely, and I think his team manager, Auntie, will even give him a pass on the, the few pieces of plastic he might have scuffed up or anything he might have broke. I'm sure he took a good look, saw there was no spectators. That was safe. He said, hey, I need to celebrate this one. I worked hard for this. Hats off to Caleb Russell on the win. Josh Strang with an amazing ride in second. Thad Duvall, can't say enough about that guy today, was right right there in the thick of it, battling down to the final turns. To see 3 riders do that, hats off to all 3 of those guys. Again, if you're watching us at home, if you're here at the track, no matter who you're a fan of, if you're here at the track, work your way down to that podium because, man, those guys deserve every ounce of the air in your lungs that you can cheer for them here in just a few moments because
Johnny,
they put it on the line.
I don't know how you've got any air left in your lungs. I've never found it so hard to get a word in edgewise. I mean, you've really taken this to a new level, and it was a lot of fun to sit and listen to this race with you today. Actually, no, it was a lot of fun and a great race. I mean, these are the types of races, dude. This is the reason that I fell in love with GNCC so many years ago. You know, whenever you take a look at this, that was 3 hours or just under 3 hours, 2 hours and 50 minutes or so of racing. Did you see that? This is the gap at the end of technically 2 hours, 49 minutes, 57 seconds. Look at this. Josh Strang and Caleb Russell coming in almost identical times on elapsed times as far as the race, and they both scanned in at 16:27, which is what I guess it would be 4:27:18, 6:87. They got down to the tenths of thousandths of seconds that separated those two, not thousands, not 100s, not tenths, but tenths of thousands of seconds that separated those guys whenever they came through the finish line, whenever they checked in and their score. That is about as close. Now tell me you've ever seen any other type of racing come this close. Rarely do you see that. I don't even know that it was that close to the Daytona 500 this year, and they were only 6 inches apart whenever they came across the finish line.
Yeah, that's crazy. After 3 hours of racing action, to see that gap just, tenths of thousands of a second, that's it's crazy, Rodney. It really just goes to show these guys are world-class athletes. They're putting on an absolute world-class show here at GNCC Racing, and the fans that were here today and those of you that watch GNCC live at home on RacerTV, you were treated to one heck of a battle. You never know how these things are going to come out, and if you could script it before the race, you couldn't have scripted anything more exciting.
You couldn't have wrote that any better, that's for sure. But check this out. We've been in now for what are we looking at? I'm looking at 4 minutes. Nearly 4 minutes, and we still haven't seen fourth place check in unless...
We did just see Jordan Ashburn at the 7-mile marker, so he's working his way towards the 8. We should see him probably within just barely over a minute here. So, but again, that is a huge gap that they were able to open up over Jordan, who we can't say enough about also was right up in that battle for the podium place positions earlier in this race. It was just the intensity, the drive of those top 3 today was just kind of on another level from everybody else.
It was, and that's amazing, and I think what we are witnessing possibly is the birth of something really special as far as the battles are concerned. Josh Strang, seeing that come down to that, seeing Josh lose it right there in just those closing moments, that's only going to make him that much hungrier. Win, lose, or draw, they all 3 had to have one of the best race days of their life out there. And I'm sure Josh Strang is probably more frustrated, and I'm sure that Thad Duvall is fairly frustrated right now with himself, the way things finished up where they didn't get the win. But at the same time, man, they have got to be, this has got to be one of the best memories as far as racing is concerned, I would think anyway.
Absolutely, Rodney, and we just witnessed some great racing action. We've still got our XC2 battle working its way into the finish, but before we come back and get to see that finish as well as the rest of our top guys come in, let's check in with a word from our sponsors.
That's it.
Maxxis Tires.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATV MC, our goal has always been to get you the best price and provide quality service. Now, we're giving you one more reason to shop with Rocky Mountain. We call it Quick Cash. It's simple to get. Just place an order with a qualifying Quick Cash item and get cash to spend on your next order. Try it out today. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
The Andersons discovered life is easier with an Outlaw RV. The Outlaw is a complete home on wheels with a multifunctional garage. Getting on the road has never been quicker. The Outlaw is made to fit the lifestyle of today's active families. So stop roughing it and start enjoying your weekends. Find the Thor Motor Coach Outlaw that fits your needs at GarageRVs.com today.
I'm a sore loser. I'm a sore loser.
Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best.
The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why
And welcome back to GNCC Live. It's Trevor Bollinger now making his way into the closing moments of this race. And look at that. It is, I believe, Craig DeLong still right there in the thick. And nope.
That was not DeLong there yet. I think that was DeLong that just went by on the right side of our shot there.
Right, that's who I thought we were talking about. But
Yep. Yeah, well, the rider right behind him. Nope, there is Craig DeLong.
Oh, wow, that has changed quite a bit, Johnny. I mean, if we looked at the shots a few moments ago, it was a lot tighter.
It was inches.
Yeah.
And now it's opened up to, what would you say, 15 or more seconds?
At least 15 seconds. And that's what we were looking at. See, Craig, whenever they finished this lap, was about 13 seconds back. Through this lap, he was able to reel him in, but he's lost back down to that about 13 to 15 second range. But still, another great battle that we witnessed there.
Rodney, I think that might have been Benjamin Kelly right behind Craig DeLong. I can't say for certain, but the gear matches.
Yeah. And
I didn't catch the number unless you did.
I didn't catch the number, but from what I've been seeing today, it certainly did look like Benjamin Kelly that we've been seeing glimpses and flashes of all day as he's really been rolling with a head full of steam here in that XC2 Pro Lights class. While we wait for our leaders for the XC2 Pro Lights class to check in and solidify that, here comes the pass for the lead in the XC1 class from our NBC Sports crew. There they come out of the woods now, it looks like, as Josh String and Caleb Russell, I guess it just made the pass, and there we see the battling going on. So actually looked like Russell was making the pass coming out of that wood section right there. He gets around him, and you can see that Josh pushed him all the way down to the checker flag, and they're making their way down onto the podium right now. And they're getting themselves ready. And right now, let's head on down to the podium. Max's
all right, Limestone fans, let's hear about it right now. Our top three overall are XC1 Pro racers up here. These guys keeping it real for 3 hours, finishing less than 2 seconds apart. Let's make some noise, Limestone. Let's hear it. Now, you know, I hate to bring this up, but, man, Camp Coker was really loud a couple weeks ago, Indiana. Let's do a little better than that. Come on, make some noise. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. Hey, we're going to move over into third place right now. Going to talk to our man, Thad Duvall. Thad, we just talked a minute ago, talked about how exciting this whole race was, how much drama there was. There was action all over the course, man, from the start to the very finish, man. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, you know, the track was pretty gnarly. You know, when I walked in this morning, I knew it was going to be pretty ruddy and stuff, but I never would have dreamed it would have got like that. And, you know, it was some pretty crazy racing all day. You know, hats off to those guys. You know, we kept it interesting for the fans, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.
I want to tell you something. If they didn't enjoy it, they were asleep. There was something wrong. I can tell you, one of the most exciting races we've seen in a long time. Thad, I can tell you this much. It looked like extremely clean racing by three really fast guys out there.
Yeah, it was awesome. You know, there was a couple of times our lines came together, and, you know, it's, you know, we backed off, and, you know, I think it was the first or second lap, Caleb got stuck in a rut. And I was already committed, and I think I hit him so hard it like looped them out, but it like got us both going, and luckily we both got through the rut. And I don't know, it was just like one of those things. It was like, if I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna hit him. So, you know, I hit him, and luckily he got out, and we got going, and we got back up to the front, and, you know, it was a good race. And then, you know, me and Caleb kind of got away, and then I think Strang ended up running us down. And, you know, I made a lot of mistakes, and, you know, I'm pretty disappointed the way I rode the last lap. And, you know, I had the lead going in the last lap, but those guys wanted it worse than I did the last lap. So disappointed with how I rode, but, you know, all in all, a great day, and I had a lot of fun. So, you know, it was a good day.
Hey, man, real quick, I saw you do a monkey roll, man. You cross-rutted out there in the field. You did a monkey roll, and you never let go of the bars, Jack. That bike never shut off. You jumped up and never lost a position, man. What was going through your mind? That was poetry, dog.
Yeah, I think I hit a hole in the field and started swapping. The next thing I know, I was on the ground, and it took me about 2 miles to catch my breath. And, you know, I knew if I let Caleb get away, it'd be hard to run him back down. And, you know, it was just one of those things that just the adrenaline was pumping, and I got back up and kept going. And luckily, it wasn't too dangerous. And, you know, hats off to the crew. They built an awesome track today, and I really enjoyed it. I love this place, and I love coming back each and every year.
Awesome. Hey, I know you have a huge team behind you. I know you got a lot of people to thank for helping out today. Who are they, bud?
Yeah, you know, KR4, Husqvarna, Rocky Mountain, ATVMC, Max's tires. You know, Max has worked really well today, and there was really slick conditions, and, Moose gear, CD boots, WP suspension. They helped me out a little bit this year. All the guys over at Husqvarna, especially Tim. He's helped me out when I needed it the most, and just everybody out there cheering me on. Scott Goggles. It was one of those days. There was a lot of fans out there, and I want to thank them for getting me through. And hats off to the couple of the other team riders or other team helpers. They were pulling us all lines, and it was a good day. And I want to say thanks to all the fans.
Right on. You guys heard it right there. Make some noise for third place, Bat Thad Duvall. All right, we're going to make our way over here to second place right now. Josh, I talked to you a little bit right when you come off the track. You had a grin on your face, and I know every time you go to the line, man, your mission is to win. That's your job. That's what you intend to do. But you even yourself said how exciting this race was and how close it was. Tell us in your words how it went down.
Yeah, it was fun. I got a really good jump again, and just first corner I grabbed a little bit too much throttle and spun her out there like a rookie. So it was all right. We got up front. The three of us were riding together pretty much all day. So I told Rodney earlier it'd be nice to win by minutes, but it's some of these races like this are the ones you remember when you're done racing. So I had a blast today. I come up a little short, but I'll take a second.
I know one thing. You don't win if you don't go for it. And one thing I can say about Josh Strang, you went for it today, my man.
Yeah, I had to. I mean, I had a bad race last race, so I had to try and make up some points on Caleb, and unfortunately I couldn't today, but we were close. So we haven't lost anything from the first couple of races, and I feel good. I feel good now, so everything worked well. The track, like Thad said, was tricky today. It got ruts where you had to look towards the end to try and stay straight and not make mistakes. So today was about not making mistakes and just riding strong, and the WP suspension, Husqvarna, everything worked well.
Well, it was an amazing ride. You guys know how to make it exciting, I can tell you that. And I know you got a ton of people in your corner, man, a ton of people pulling for you and helping you out this season.
Yeah, Rockstar Energy, Husqvarna Factory Racing, my fiance Cameron, Timmy, Dave, Blue, everyone that helps out. All the fans for coming out. Yesterday was pretty cold, and today was muddy, but it ended up being a good day.
Well, great ride. Congratulations on second place. Let's hear it for Josh Strang. You guys make some noise. All right, step on up here, Caleb, in the middle one more time, man. KR1, Caleb Russell. I tell you, you told me when you – oh, nice. Hey, look at this guy. Hey, that reminds me. I saw you coming down pit road, and I saw that baby go lock to lock. I never seen head shake. I never seen a wet dog shake like that, dude, and you saved it.
Yeah, that was a little more than I'd like. I didn't. Yeah, it was where they dozed the track. I think I just hit some holes right there, and I was pretty scared for a second.
Let me tell you, I almost had to change my shorts when I saw it.
Yeah, and the weird thing, because I was holding on with my throttle hand, I couldn't almost like let off the gas because of how bad it was jerking back and forth. Like every time I jerk, it like bark, bark, bark. And I thought I was going down, to be honest with you, and that would have been a violent crash. But it was a really tough day. The track was gnarly, and yeah, it was fun though. Like I had a good time. It was challenging, and it was one of those days where it was really hard to lead, and it was a little easier to follow, and I just kept making tons of mistakes and just goofball stuff happening and just getting tangled up with people and going down. But coming in that last lap, it was tough. I think Josh and I might have passed each other a couple times. We got close, and coming out to the finish area, I was kind of settling for second almost because there's not really anywhere to pass, and it was pretty fast and slick, and he took a different line than I did, and I ended up getting a really good drive and just kind of rode around the outside and got some good traction, and he was a little nice about it. He could have definitely punted me over the berm, but it was definitely a tough race, and those are definitely the ones that are the most fun to race for sure. It reminded me a lot of back when Charlie and I were battling down the wire. Those are the ones you definitely remember, like Josh said, you remember the most. But yeah, I got to thank the whole FMF KTM team. Dunlop tires for hooking up great. CD boots, Bell helmets, Scott goggles, Red Bull. My mechanic Tanner, my wife, everybody underneath the team, and all the great fans out here for pointing us lines and cheering. Thank you.
Well, congratulations. There you have it, Limestone. Your overall winner here today, Caleb Russell in the first place. Our man Josh Strang in second place, and Bad Thad Duvall rolling in that third position. Right now we're going to hand these bottles off. These guys know what to do with these things, and you guys know what's coming. Let me get out of Ken Hill's way right now so we can get our class picture, get you guys in there together. And I want to tell you one more time, Limestone, let's hear about this finish, man. Let's hear it. Make some noise. That's what I'm talking about. And, hey, Josh, I got to tell you one thing. The first thing that Caleb said to me when I went over, he said, man, Josh was really nice about it because he could have closed the door and punted me right off the track. So, hey, kudos to you guys. All of you went for it today. All of you hanging it out and going for that win. Congratulations to all three of you.
Well, there you have it, folks. To the victor goes the spoils, and the spoils in GNCC. The sweet, sweet spray of champagne as we wrap up our podium celebrations at Max's Victory Lane here. And round number 6 of America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship, the 42nd annual running of this AMSOIL GNCC Series presented by Max's and AMA National Championship. And we just witnessed quite possibly one of the, well, I know in recent history, one of the greatest battles we've seen down to the checkers between our top 3. And we also have our announcement for our Twitter contest winner, and we got $250,000 or $250 in. I wish it was $250,000. I'm thinking too much on my radio days when we used to give away money, but $250 in AMSOIL product. The Hans Beck, Big Hans, 129, KR557. String and Bach. Well, he got 2 of the 3 right, but what he did most right was he hashtagged it GNCC Live. Picks himself up $250 in AMSOIL products. Congratulations to Hans Beck at Big Hans 129. Our Limestone GNCC Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com leaderboard results shows us Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, Thad Duvall, your top 3. Jordan Ashburn in 4th. Chris Bach rounding out the top 5. Then it was XC2 Pro Lights class winner Trevor Bollinger in 6th. 2nd in that class, 7th overall, and Benjamin Kelly finishing up in 8th overall, who will take 3rd the XC2 Pro Lights. Josh Toth will take 9th, and Daniel Milner, who finished 6th in the XC1 Pro class, will take 10th place overall. An exciting day, to say the least, as far as the way things have broken down here in this Limestone 100 GNCC race. And, you know, coming into this one, a lot of people not really knowing what to expect, especially after those first 5 rounds. And as we said, the courses, the tracks, the conditions have all been a little different this year and have offered up a little bit different element to what we've been able to witness and see. And to be honest with you folks, I really like what we're seeing in 2016. The new era of GNCC racing is definitely upon us. And we'll take a look at our Instagram winner, and that is actually Stamper392, playing Soldier, but still GNCC racing at heart, while watching the gate at GNCC Live. Yeah, they're watching the gate at the base, I guess is what they're doing. So, guys, really glad to have you guys on board with us. And Stampers, we look forward to seeing you back out here in the GNCC racing real soon, friends. Love it, man. I love it. I love to know that our military men and women are watching across the world, and things are going so well with RacerTV.com. Race all racing all the time, as we like to say, and we'll continue next weekend. We will be at High Point Raceway, where we will be featuring our ATV motocross. It'll be getting underway at about 11 o'clock with some good amateur racing, and then at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, our pro main motos, Moto 1 and Moto 2, will be getting underway. So join us then. We'll be back the following Saturday and Sunday at the, it looks like John Pinton GNCC. We've got ATV racing on Saturday with UTV racing following that, and then on Sunday, bike coverage. So a lot of things coming in way of RacerTV.com coverage, and we hope that you continue to be a part of that as we reset this podium down here. By the way, a couple things to talk about. Obviously, our top 3 are going to be Bollinger, DeLong, and welcoming Harwinton, Connecticut's Benjamin Kelly, the 530 to the podium, and doing it in style himself here today. As far as the top amateur overall is concerned, we'll see if that...
All right, you guys, make some noise for Benjamin Kelly here today in 3rd place. Ben Kelly, holy cow. This guy breaking out today like a convict, man. This guy was on the run. This guy was trying to make a break for it. I want to tell you something. Impressive ride, my man. Cool, calm, and composed for 4 laps, and even right to the finish, man. I want to tell you something. I didn't see no signs of cracking. I didn't see any weakness, man. I can't be more impressed with this ride. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I didn't have the best start, but I just chose good lines, tried not to get stuck, and just tried to stay smooth all day. Like the third to last lap, I picked a bad line and got stuck, and they all got by me. And after I pulled my bike out, I was so tired, so I just kept pushing and tried not to lose any more places.
I want to tell you something. I know that the pressure just had to feel unbelievable, but you didn't show a bit of it. You kept cool, calm, and collected. I want to tell you something. I know you made your sponsors proud today. I know you have a bunch of people you want to thank for getting up here on this podium. A lot of people helped you get here.
Yeah, I want to thank my mom and dad most of all. They do everything for me. My sister, Ross Morey with Trail Jesters, Jill Trepanier with GTR Suspension for having my bike feeling awesome. Scott Goggles, MSR for helping out this year, Poacher and Keith Heiser, Loud Fuel Co., FMF, Bulletproof Designs, P3 Carbon, Renthal, Gaernay, Magical Go-Go, Spectro, and everyone else helping out. Thanks a lot.
Hey, congratulations. Limestone, you may not have known the name Ben Kelly, but you won't forget it. I'm here to tell you that right now. This guy's got a bright future ahead of him. Congratulations, dude. No doubt about it. Going to make our way over here into second place. Craig DeLong, man, oh man. You know, we were talking about Ben trying to get out and make a run for it. Just seems like you and Trevor, guys, hit some roadblocks here and there, but you know what? Both of you put the visor down and the throttle back, man, and look at where we're at here at the finish.
Yeah, we were like Velcro, like from the second lap on. You know, he get by me, I get by him, and there's a few times we stopped in the woods, we come right to each other and just look at each other and say, no, you go, you go. But a lot of fun is going back and forth. We were both fist pumping and stuff in the woods, and a lot of fun. Made a mistake on the second to last lap there. Got spun it on a hill and got stuck a little bit and lost about 10 seconds. And that was basically it. You know, once I couldn't see him, it was game over. So I tried to push, and last lap made a few mistakes, and it definitely showed. I mean, I was riding all flustered, and just like I could feel my heart rate just keep rising and rising, and Ben ended up catching me at the end of the last lap and made me work for it. So it was good.
Hey, dude, let me tell you, Dad calls it a work in progress. I'm telling you what, progress being made, and I know you got a lot of people helping with that progress. Who are they, bud?
Yeah, I can't thank the Coastal Racing team enough. Everyone there, Scott, Barry, you know, everyone out in the woods. You know, Ryan Sipes was here today. He was out there getting dirty, and can't thank MSR, Husky enough, Dunlop, Pro Taper, Bell, 100%, FMF, Garnet Boots, Bellray Oil, Stuck MX Graphics, IMS Gas Tanks, VP Race Fuels, DP Brakes, Twin Air, my dad for keeping the bike running good, and all my family and all that stuff. Thank you.
Well, congratulations. Let's hear Limestone for Craig DeLong, man, keeping the hammer pinned to the very end. And here we are again in the middle with TB10. Now, Trevor, you told me a couple weeks ago you had a little disgust, and you took some time with me, and you looked at me and you said, Megawatt, I said, we'll be back. And sure enough, man, here we are returning to our winning ways. One event after having a mechanical disaster. Man, tell us how this feels.
Oh, it feels great. I actually had a little injury after Camp Coker, and I haven't been able to ride since then. I've rode like twice, but yeah, luckily I just took my time off, and my leg was able to heal up. And yeah, racing with Craig today was fun. It reminded me a lot of when me and Grant Baylor used to ride, and there's a lot of respect, and that's what makes it fun, man. And I had a blast today, and Craig rode like a winner. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I deserved it, but I guess I just rode smart. I knew from the beginning that it was going to be the person who made the less mistakes. So yeah, it was great. He made one mistake, and I'm kind of bummed for him. But yeah, he rode like a winner, and yeah, I'm just glad to be up here.
Well, I tell you what, you rode like a winner today too, man. You put your head down, you made it happen, and I want to tell you something. It was anybody's game in this class, and actually both classes for most of the race. And you know, like you said, it come down to mistakes, and the guy who made the least mistakes or the last mistake maybe. And I tell you, you came out with a win today. I know you got an awful proud team behind you. Who you want to thank?
Yeah, Eric for getting the bike ready, my grandpa and Dad for coming and getting in the woods, pointing lines, Johnny for coming, Benny, Howard, everyone, man. It was just it's good to be back. You know, after you lose one, you think all week about how you've lost points and can you do it again, and it's just it's nice to have the momentum rolling again, and can't thank the whole team enough.
Awesome. Congratulations. Let's hear it, you guys, for Trevor Bollinger. Big win here today in XC2 Pro Lights. Let me find his bottle, where we got his bottle at. Uh-oh. So, oh, it fell down behind. Hang on 1 second, you guys. All right, you guys. Once we retrieve the bottle there, oh shoot, look out. Right on. We're gonna bring our XC2 hole shot winner up here, Craig DeLong. Craig, yeah, well, we're gonna bring him to the front of the podium. Thank you. You know, she's so used to correcting me. I make so many mistakes that, you know, it just comes easy to her. So. Craig, congratulations again. You know, what was that, like 12 of these things already? Well, we've only had 6 races, but you got like 13 of these hole shots.
I think it's 5.
Right on, man. Hey, on behalf of Hot Cams, you got another extra $100 for the XE2 Bike Hole Shot Award. Congratulations, man. I know we'll see you back in a couple weeks.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much, man. We got one more podium to go. We're going to get Johnny Gallagher up here. We're going to get our top amateur riders. And I want to tell you something, guys. You're in for a treat right here. These 3 guys, an amazing ride. Looks like we have 2 of the guys over here right now, but amazing ride put on all of our amateurs over here today. Johnny Gallagher's going to take the mic. We're going to bring these guys up. We're going to get you the latest dirt on exactly what happened with all our top amateur riders. And we appreciate you checking in, and hanging out with us here at the podium.
Well, folks, we had a chance to catch up with some other winners earlier today, and talking about winners, our WXC class winner from the 10 o'clock race, Brooke Cosner.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to RacerTV Live. We're here with WXC winner today, Brooke Cosner. Brooke, been a long time coming, been a hard struggle, but you know what? The first win comes today here at the Limestone. You have to be pumped.
I am. I'm ecstatic. I mean, they always said the second win's the hardest, and it was very hard. It was just a survival today of the fittest, honestly.
Now, you've got 2 career wins. I believe this is the first one of the season.
Yeah, this is the first one of the season, and I won one 2 years ago at Powerline Park, so it's been a while.
No doubt. And in these conditions today, how satisfying is it to come out on top?
Oh, I feel great. I mean, the bike stayed strong, and I stayed strong, surprisingly, and I just picked good lines and stayed up.
I know one thing. It looks like you have a lot of gas left in the tank. It looked like you were good for a couple more laps.
Oh, yeah, I was going pretty slow. I was just trying to stay up. It's really slick out. Like, you would think there's traction, but there's really not, so...
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your first win of the season. We'll see you on the podium.
Thank you very much.
Back to you guys in the studio.
And thanks again, Megawatt, as we head down to the podium where Johnny Gallagher is readying the top 3 amateur overall riders, and evidently Zach Nolan is going to make the grade in the 250A class as our top amateurs. He'll be picking up an extra.
We're back here with our top amateur overall podium. The top 3 today was Chris Vendetti in 3rd, Evan Earl in 2nd, and Zach Nolan with the top amateur. These guys worked hard for it today. Chris, I'm going to give you back your bike here and let us hear a little bit about your day. You guys ended up, there was about 7 of you guys that were going back and forth. Just shows how crazy the track conditions were. You guys ended up, all 3 of you from 250A, so 1, 2, 3 in 250A and 1, 2, 3 for the overall amateur. Tell us a little bit about your day.
Day started out rough. I have a broken hand. I broke it at Still Creek, and I expected it to be healed for Camp Coker, so I sat out Big Buck, and it actually is not healed, and it's still broken. I went to the doctor a couple days ago, so that's definitely a battle in itself. But this rough track was it was hard and it was brutal, but I kept pushing. I put my head down. You know, I fell a couple times, and I actually put my hand down, and it hurt real bad when I did that. And I was like, oh, I tuck and roll every time I fell. But I ended up just salvaging a 3rd, and, you know, that's all I need to do for points. So I'm just going to get this wrist healed and go back out and next race and see what I can do.
Well, Chris, like you said, you know, this track was incredibly rough. We were watching you all day on the live feed. Every camera angle we could see, the ruts were just getting deeper and deeper. The roots were coming out of the ground. All that rain we had for the last couple of weeks, there was just so much moisture, made for such a rough track. You know, we had obviously no idea watching you guys battle out there that you were coping with an injury. So to come through that, you know, I'm sure you got a lot of support at home and a lot of people that are helping you be here. We're going to give you a chance to thank them right now.
Oh, definitely. I got to thank my mom and dad for everything they do, and Man Above for keeping me safe. And got to thank Ape Graphics, Triangle Cycles, Boys Scene Reeds, Flow Motorsports, Fly, ASV Levers, Bars Competition, Miami Bike Shop, Moto Hose, Scott Goggles, 60 Helmets, Engine Ice, Cleanworks, Factory Connection, TM Designs, FMF, Carb Sport, and Jason Rains.
All right, there it is, folks. Chris Venditti, 3rd overall, top amateur, and 3rd today in 250A. We're going to work our way down here with this cord. Evan Earl, I believe this is the first time we've seen you up here so far this year for the top amateur. You're up here today in second place in 250A and second overall. You know, it was a tough track out there today. You guys were back and forth. You know, you and Zach actually swapped the lead a few times, it looked like, from what we were seeing on screen there. And there was another Open A rider that was up in there with you, and you guys were all battling back and forth. When you're out there battling, are you aware of what's going on for the top amateur, or are you just kind of focusing on trying to do what you can in the 250A class there?
I'm just kind of focused mostly on staying with Zach because I know he's usually up in top AM, and when we're usually right there together, I'm trying to stay as close as I can to him just because I know he's always up there. I kind of figured we were near the top amateur, but I didn't actually know if we was in or not. But we're riding good, and I was trying my best just to stay with him and just ride my whole race.
Well, it looked like a great battle out there, and like I said, you guys were swapping positions back and forth. Looked like you guys were having a lot of fun. Did things go pretty uneventful out there for you today on this tough track, or did you have some struggles as you went along?
I actually rode a great race. I think I only fell down twice, and I stayed up most of the race and just rode smooth and rode the best I ever have all year, so feeling pretty good.
Well, obviously that best race you've put in all year paid off for you being up here on this top amateur overall podium. I know you got a lot of people behind your program helping you be here today. We'll give you a chance to thank those people right now.
I'd like to thank Dixie Fuel, my mom and dad, my sister. I'd like to thank Palmer Motorsports, my trainer Gary Molnax, everybody. Just appreciate it.
There it is, folks. Evan Earl, your second place overall amateur and second place today in 250A. Let's get a round of applause for him. And we'll work our way back over here. And if I'm not mistaken, for the second time in a row today, Zach Nolan with the top overall amateur and your 250A winner. Zach, man, that track looked brutal. I know you being a West Virginia boy, you know, you're used to those rocks and you're used to the mud, but man, today really seemed to have its own challenges. As I said, we were watching today on the live feed. You guys were back and forth battling. There were so many of you guys up in there battling over this spot. Standing here at the end of the day today, I'm sure it didn't come easy. Tell us a little bit about how you got here.
I got off the start pretty good, and I was like 6th or 7th and was trying to work my way through them, and I mean, I was just all over the place. I used all 7 tear-offs right off the bat, and I was like, man, this is going to be a rough day.
Oh, hold on one second right there, Zach. How long have you been racing GNCC?
14 years.
14 years racing GNCC. Would you say today was a mud race?
Yeah, it was pretty close.
Okay, and on mud race days, do we wear tear-offs or do we wear roll-offs?
Well, I haven't had any good luck with roll-offs. I can't keep them on because the vision's not wide enough.
You think we might need to take a look at that program there, because 7 tear-offs don't last very long in conditions like this. But all right, go on with your story.
So I got up there towards the front, and I knew I was with these 2 guys, and they were right there. I had no clue where we were for top amateur. I wasn't really concerned about that right now. I was trying to focus on 250A spot, and I mean, we were just back and forth all day long. Ruts were deep, and I just couldn't get in no rhythm. I pulled, I think, just a little bit of time on him and tried to get a pace set right there to where I was safe, and he reeled me back in, and I think I only ended up 8 seconds ahead of him. So it was a rough day all day long.
Yeah, we saw you guys battling back and forth there, and it was a nail-biter for us all the way down to the finish. We were watching on live feed, trying to pick you up every single time we could. We actually did get to see you there. Looked like you went down on what would have been your last lap, as I think the leaders were coming by you there, and it looked like it was really a struggle again. The track was just really tough out there. I know it was a rough day, but to be up here in the center of the box, I'm sure means a lot to you. I know you got a lot of support coming back after taking some time off. We'll give you a chance to thank those people right now.
Yeah, Mom and Dad aren't here, but I'd like to give them a good big thanks. My brother, Levi, my girlfriend. I want to thank Todd Ely. I want to thank Teely Energy Racing for all their support. All the kids on the race team cheer me on and point me lines and help me out. I want to thank Bill Daly at Outlaw Motorsports, RM Performance, Mountain State Hare Scramble, SG, Spider Graphics, and Grenade Coatings.
All right, well, we got a little bit of traveling money for you here. I know the next race is a real close one for you, so you won't even probably burn this much in fuel. But nonetheless, we got that. We got this overall amateur trophy for you. Folks, let's hear it one more time for your top 3 overall amateurs: Chris Venditti, Evan Earl, and Zach Nolan. These guys worked hard for it. We appreciate it. Springville, Indiana, and back to you, Rodney.
And
And all right, thanks a lot, Johnny Gallagher. And that's pretty much going to do it. That's going to put a wrap on our 5th running of the Limestone 100 GNCC. It started out bleak and dismal and rainy and wet and muddy, and it finished on a bright note with the sunshine and blue skies. Track conditions certainly warranted quite a memorable event. We hope that it loads into your memory, and if you ever need to, come back and watch it all right here on RacerTV.com. On behalf of the entire RacerTV.com staff, our executive producer, Kerry Russell, our producer, Price Harden, technical director, Dan Reinhardt, technical engineer, Jacob Beck, and also creative editor, Mitch Rosenberry, along with our camera operators, Derek Garcia, Jamie Snyder, Josh Shaleski, and Jordan McFadden. I'm Rodney Tomlin on behalf of Matt Watson and Johnny Gallagher saying, good day, everybody.
Great show today. We're clear, Rodney.